The opinions expressed by the members of our panel don't necessarily reflect those of this station, its owners, or management. Once again from the John DeVita Recording Studio on the Great Northwest Side, welcome one and all to Meet the Chicago Historians. Now we present our February installment, although we are just a little tardy. Ah yes, February, the little month full of holidays, presidents, groundhogs, and affairs of the heart. And now, here's a guy who didn't see his shadow that day, our fearless leader, John DeVita.
Well, thank you very much, Rich. From the John DeVita Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Meet the Chicago Historians on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Monday, February the 25th, the year 2013. Today's panel will be talking about the mayors of Chicago, past and present, and whatever comes to their mind. So sit back and enjoy Meet the Chicago Historians. And now to start today's broadcast, here is our announcer, Rich Lane.
And now here's our panel moderator, that jack of no trades, Jack Ryan.
Good afternoon. It is a beautiful day here. It's about 40 degrees already, and little old February is winding down rapidly. Today is the 25th, so remember now, it's only 10 months till Christmas. Get your shopping started. Let's not wait till the last minute like someone like I would. And end of February means what? March comes up, which is springtime, spring, baseball, warm weather. Well, it's been warm weather most of this winter anyway. Has anyone ever remembered a weirder winter in their?
This is a winter that I'll take every year. This is
so
something
far
really out of the ordinary. Yeah. Not that I do any snow shoveling, but I just feel for the people that do.
Yeah, me too. I bought my wife some for Christmas. I got her a pair of golf spikes. You know, not that she golfs, but then when I look out the window and she's cleaning the car, she won't slip on the ice. You know.
I thought you were going to get her a snowblower this year.
Well, she's got that for a while. But anyway, don't let her hear me say that. But we're going to get on to the mayors, and it's interesting that it's always topical. And folks, this is a historian show, but we can't help but getting on current events now and again. For after all, that's what makes history, is what happens now. And sometimes it has pretty far-reaching effects. Well, before we get to that, we'll make sure everyone's introduced. We've already met Bill Kugelman, sir.
Exactly.
And your background is what?
My background is 46 years in the Chicago Fire Service. I'm the past president of the Fire Museum and enjoying retirement.
You also were a battalion chief?
I was a chief in the fire department. I was also deputy director of the Illinois Bureau of Racetrack Police.
Okay, and you did that for a while, too?
Oh, I did that for, 40 years.
You know people like Frank Pape, then?
Oh,
Very
Frank was my mentor.
You know, I never met him. I think I've said that before, but I should have stopped by. When he was retired, you probably would have loved to have talked a little something.
He loved to talk.
Yeah.
Frank was a character for one thing, and his always wore a sport coat of the same kind of a woolish gabardine. He was always belonged around the racetrack because he worked with us there, and he always kept his gun, a little Chief 38, in his pocket, and at his wake, which was in Park Ridge, when I went up there, his son was there. His son runs a security agency now, but I said, I suppose the old man's got the gun in the casket too, huh? I didn't get an answer.
No, like so many guys now, Frank Pape, I believe that's an Irish name, isn't it? Some people thought it was Italian.
You know what? I don't know, Jack. I think you're right. I think you're right.
But in those days, like a policeman would dress like a policeman, as they say. Didn't he always look like the heat?
Oh, yeah.
Or look like a detective would?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. He was a guy that books were written about.
I know he did say in the one interview where they showed him, I remember this got to be 20 years ago on the paper. But he's in retirement. He's sitting with his wife holding his Tommy gun, which, of course, he illegally possessed because he had one before a certain date. That's another story, but about this so-called assault weapons. But he said, and I can see what he meant, he couldn't be a policeman today because there's too much red tape, too many people listen to you. You have the 6 ways to Sunday, and which I believe a lot of guys got hurt because of that, because inaction reduces you to. But that's another story.
Well, he was a good old-fashioned street cop, but Frank went to work at the racetrack. I didn't know it until one day. I didn't know she was going to hire him, but Marge Everett, the owner of Arlington Park, Arlington, Washington, hired him, and I went in gate 9, to go to work, and I see these two people out there having a horseback ride around the back stretch, and when I stopped at the guard, the guy said, "Hey, good morning," blah blah blah. I said, "Hey, who the hell is that over there?" And he said, "I don't know. That's Mrs. Everett with a boyfriend, I guess." No, it wasn't. Frank liked to ride horses too, and he was out there riding with Marge, and like I say, Frank was kind of off the job, and then the civil rights legislation came in.
He was on leave of absence.
Yes, and then when he came back to work for us, we had then the Illinois Bureau of Racetrack Police, and Frank was not used to giving people their civil rights, and we had to kind of clue him in.
Yeah, there were also the matter of civil litigation and suits. So that's what they're really worried about.
Right.
The suits, these suits, the guys, the lawyers. But anyway, to folks who are out there listening, and probably many even wonder what we're talking about. Years ago, you had a special unit. Did they call that Scotland Yard or something at one time? But it was like you were dealing with the worst, the robbery detail, or the worst of the worst.
The worst of the worst, Jack.
And they would have people in soft clothes, and you go and just bird dog these guys, follow the hoods around, and they dealt with the bad people, not your son driving in a hot car with somebody else who's having to be, but these were the bad what they call a career criminal today.
Well, and getting on that, I know we're getting off the other subject, but a good friend of mine, retired sergeant on the police department, and also on the Cook County, a very well-known guy, Don Harrion. Do you know him, Jack? You know that? Well, Don was a master of the outfit. He knew every mob guy. We worked for years at the tracks, and Donnie was just a good guy. And you would see him in movies. He was an extra, and that. In fact, he was in Backdraft. You'll see him in there, and he liked that. But Donnie wrote a book, and the book is Pay, Quit, or Die. That was his first book, which is very thick. You can get it through Amazon, and I've bought quite a few and given them to some friends of mine that also know Don, and his name is spelled Herion. Don is still with us. I hear from him quite often.
Is he in Chicago?
And yes, and he's written a couple other books too, besides Pay, Quit, or Die, and that was the logo, the whatever you want to call it, of the street mob. Pay me,
motto, slogan,
quit or die.
Yeah.
And it's quite a book if you want to go and get it.
Well, we get on to this Frank Papers. I have one more thing to say. In the black community, they had a couple of people who were like the equivalent. And one was a boss I worked for later named Bob Harness, the Crusher, and his partner was Sylvester Washington, who everyone knew as Two Gun Pete.
Two Gun Pete.
And
right.
they headed up a high crime squad there too, and it was their responsibility to go after the bad dudes.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yep.
And I had a chance to meet him. He was retired, and he had a tavern on Oakwood Boulevard, right near the lake, not far. It was Hilltop Tap or something. Sylvester Washington, proprietor. A lot of the guys wonder I just never did, and well, he died then. So anyway,
we had a lot of guys, working. I had a lot of guys working at the track for me that were well-known Chicago guys with the state's attorney. A lot of them, went to work for Hanrahan and that. And I'm not going to mention any of those names
Gloves
because
Davis,
I don't know their
Gloves Davis.
Gloves, yeah,
yeah.
Danny Groth,
Good guy,
and all of those guys, yeah. And they were good coppers, and you know what? It's just a very, very damn shame that we aren't like that now. I think that would solve a lot of the problems.
We're suffering. Moving on now. Rich, what's your thoughts on this situation here?
I was going to give a little bit more of my background.
Well, sure, let's hear it.
Well, kind of a long-time history buff. I was a professional grad student in history for many years, not buckling down to do research, but I squeezed in some college teaching, and now I'm pretty active in some neighborhood historical societies on the Northwest side.
And that's where it is, right at this level. People don't seem to know how much history is around them.
That's right, but the interest is catching on more and more. As they're trying to revive, let's say, Six Corners now. There's a local theater group there of college-age youngsters, and they put on a quick history of the Six Corners area, why you got the Portage Theater in Portage Park. So there is a growing interest in neighborhood history, not just because people want to see what the home that they're living in is worth. It's just a general interest in history.
Well, the original settlement, why it's called what it is.
Exactly right.
It's like going down to the, if you go down to the county where they have all the deeds and everything, what do they call it?
Recorder of deeds?
It'll have a legal description of your property. The northwest section of the southwest section of the, it's like some former farm or something of what it was, and it's right there. So.
But for a precise definition of your lot, they have to do that. Everything's divided into specific areas.
Well, if you have insomnia, just start doing some reading stuff like that.
Oh yeah, a good PR.
Are you speaking Six Corners of Milwaukee, Irving, and
Cicero?
And Cicero.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know that the Vietnam Museum is right there at 4041 North Milwaukee?
Just moved in, I'd say about 3 months ago, and it's a beautiful facility.
Yes, it is.
Plenty of room for them to grow, too.
A lot of people don't know that. They think it's still down on, what was it, 13th and Indiana or somewhere down there. But no, it's very
they probably
very
can't afford that anymore.
Place.
And for anyone trying to find it, it's almost across the street directly from the Portage Theater.
Right. Yes, on the second floor, yeah.
The 4000 block of North Milwaukee. Right.
That's a really interesting spot to be driving through, just to when you come up to that big intersection like that with the... There's another Six Corners up there. Lincoln, Belmont, Ashland, too? Was that three?
Yeah.
But that was never really referred to as Six Corners.
I know.
This was always
There's several Six-Corner intersections in the city.
Of course, when we got our version, it's Archer, Pershing, and Rockwell.
Okay.
Southside. Okay. Returning prodigal son here. Name, sir.
Tom Tyler. How you doing today, everybody?
It's good to see you.
Well, I know it's been a while, but I enjoy coming back here. I enjoy broadcasting. My background, goes back to the mid-'60s when I was on the radio at the WEDC. I also worked at WGN Television and Radio for about 6.5 years. Radio traffic, radio transcription, and worked in the film television news for about 5 years. Then I basically graduated from DeVry and got associate's degree. Been mostly in the field of computer hardware, and been working with veterans organizations. I belong to Chapter 311 of Des Plaines, the VBA, Vietnam Veterans of America, and Post 3579 for the VFW in Park Ridge. You mentioned, Rich, about that Vietnam War that museum. I attended that inauguration when they had it, and it was packed to no end. It was unbelievable. They still had a lot of work to do at the time, but it's quite a scene if you go there. I think it's well worth going there.
Are you a vet from that era?
Yes, I am.
What years were you in?
I was there 67 to 68 of February. Just got out of there after the Tet Offensive. They evacuated us out of there then. Just in time to get home for Valentine's Day in 68. And, I worked over there with the USO. did some DJing over there. Matter of fact,
You like Good Morning Vietnam?
yeah, kind of like that. Actually, that was my goal was to work with AFRTS in Saigon, but it never
Armed Forces. Is that
radio television
Okay.
network. Yeah, it never became at the time to get that position because I was mostly in the clerical administrative area, but I worked in hospital headquarters and then also worked with volunteered with the Red Cross. I don't know if anybody's familiar with MARS, the Military Affiliate Radio System, but me and another officer, a colonel, had gone ahead and set up phone calls from the hospital for patients to talk to the families in stateside, which had not been done before. So it was great to have that set up for them, and they really appreciated it.
Well, that was certainly a lot trickier in 1968, 67 than it would be today. I mean,
Totally.
am I right?
Oh,
You are
boy.
absolutely right.
Tom, do you remember AFN?
Oh, yes.
What's that?
That was the original.
Armed Forces Network?
It was Armed Forces Network. That was my cover. Was an engineer for AFN,
Is that
and I
right?
still have my ID card. I should have brought
Oh,
it with.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, I was over in France, Poitiers, France,
Hmm.
and
Excellent.
that was the well, it was a station for all of France, Germany, and that. But that was the start of the AFRTS.
That's now the American Forces, I guess. You can't have Armed Forces Network.
Yeah.
That
All right.
could be. Yeah,
they do,
I never
yeah.
thought of that. Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
That's probably not politically
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, politically correct.
Exactly.
My mother.
You mentioned DeVry. When they were just like getting off the ground, like what year out of high school?
Well, let's see. In high school,
What time did you graduate?
I graduated in DePaul University Academy in '64.
Oh yeah, okay. Me 64 from St. Rita.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I got a story about that. But anyway, DeVry was kind of, I think they were new in those days, and they were sending people around to talk to you about if you're not going to go to college, go to a trade school like this.
Right.
And they had someone, he was a spokesman. They didn't call him spokesman yet, came to talk at our big assembly. Jack Dempsey. It was in like 1963 or
Oh, my
64,
God.
and it was for real,
Yeah.
And when I say Jack Dempsey, people think I'm lying, He come in and, of course, they play the song for him, and of course, they say later Jack Dempsey said he never had a better reception. And, but anyway, it was a very interesting little talk. It was a few minutes. He's very straightforward, and he's a regular guy. Interesting.
I met Jack Dempsey.
You did?
Because my a veterinarian that I worked for, Ted Lefebvre, that was his father, T.J. Lefebvre Sr., that got DeVry off the ground.
Is that right?
He was like he invented DeVry. And Jack Dempsey used to come to their house
Oh my God.
quite often. They were, he was their media guy, or
That's what I
like
say.
you say,
They
Jack.
didn't call him spokesman yet,
Yeah.
but,
And you know what? In those days, whoever thought of having a camera or anything? I have no pictures of it or anything except memories
Oh, definitely.
of meeting them, and and I was in high school or just out of high school.
for real, there's a piece of history right there.
Who could? Yeah.
I've got to ask, who was DeVry named after?
I was just going to
do you
say,
know?
who's
Yeah.
DeVry?
A distinctive name.
There was a guy called DeVry, and
Right.
and I guess he was the original, and then Mr. Lefebvre, I wouldn't call him Ted, he was the businessman, and he put that all together. You'll see it on some of those. Yeah, it was, and I had thought at that time, because he was, Bill, why don't you get into this? Why did you get? And I thought all I knew was turn it on and off. I don't know anything about it.
It's funny you mentioned about DeVry because I went there from 1972 to 75, and the area where it was located, it's not actually there anymore. They moved to Riverview Park, the other DeVry now, and Madonna High School used to be over there. If anybody remembers that.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I can still remember it was all wooden floors there at DeVry. It was unbelievable.
Was it?
Oh yeah, it was like a factory. And
But now they branches all over, don't they?
now they're all over,
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Which is good. You know, it's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Success.
There's
and-
like 4 or 5 in this area. Even.
well, obviously they were
Lombard,
delivering, or they wouldn't be successful as that.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been out there. We used to, well, it was right behind 19.
I know. Yeah.
And we
I
used
know.
to go over there and drill and that because there was, a lot of area and a lot of space when I was on the job. And I don't know what it's like now over there
Oh,
at
yeah.
all.
I haven't been there.
Mariano's is in there and, the old Riverview Park.
Aladdin's Castle's gone though.
Yeah, that's a shame, but it is.
Do you remember where DeVry originally was located?
Where?
I believe it was on Belmont Avenue, around Belmont and Costner, around in that area somewhere.
Yes, yeah, you're right, John. That brings back a memory.
Isn't there still a branch near there? I think there is.
I know they're over there where the old Riverview Park area is over there, and they also have a branch out in I think that's Glendale Heights, right off of Route 53 and Army Trail Road. There's a DeVry out there also.
Yeah, there's one in Addison and Lombard area. Yeah.
Yeah. My 2 nephews, Brian and Mark, they graduated from DeVry.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
So they really developed a name too over the past half century. There's one more thing about Jack Dempsey. I learned that day. He got in and he says, your religion's fine. There's none better. He says, I was born and raised myself as a Mormon. Did you know that?
No.
He was raised. He's from out there, Utah.
Well, yeah.
But I'm just saying he was part Indian too, I believe. I don't know which part, but I'm sorry. He's part Native American. Now, that to me is one of the most absurd terms too. Rich, were you born in the U.S.?
Yes, sir.
Were you born in the U.S., Bill?
Yeah.
Tim?
Yes.
Tom.
Tom.
Tom
right.
too, huh? Well, me too. We're all citizens. We must be Native Americans.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And
That's a good
like
point.
some of those liberals say, well, look at what they did to the Indians.
Yeah. Not to mention that these were savages dealing with,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, they're bad to their own people, their own, rival tribes or whatever. It was just a Stone Age world here. Basically, it was.
Gangs.
Yeah, right.
No, it was just like we have gangs now. They had gangs back then.
I mean, their cultural development was high in many respects, but it was also, I say, back in the Stone Ages, and you had to have the only thing that kept you going. What's largely true now is you have a bigger spear than him or something.
Yet you had the Iroquois Confederation near the East Coast that was a basis in many ways for our Constitution. A few tribes, at least, felt the need to get together, stop fighting, and
Yeah, wasn't Illini also a confederation or something here?
I think so.
There were several different. So you're right. And you say Indians, there's as many different as there are Europeans varieties, and you can have from.
Well, when
So many different languages, everything.
when they stopped using Chief Illinowick, come on,
That's stupid.
come on,
Yeah.
come on, people, wake up.
I think that Notre Dame ought to drop that little guy that looks like a little monkey,
Leprechaun?
Oh, look, an Irishman, because I think it's a slur. That and Paddy Wagon. It's not your Paddy Wagon anymore. Very sensitive about that. It's so silly.
By the way, and really to get off the line, that Oscars last night, there was a guy on there, Wahlberg, that came up there with that little teddy bear.
The bear.
Was that? Was that really a guy in that? In that thing?
That's what I asked my daughter. That didn't appear on the stage. That was just.
Oh, it was.
That was that's what I said. He comes out waving. What is this? A monkey or
Oh,
that's what I said.
I couldn't get that.
She goes, "No, Dad." Of course. Yeah, we're talking. We referenced back to last night's Academy Award show. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but. Anyway, where are we talking? Okay, we're getting back to one before we move on again.
We're just introducing ourselves
Yeah,
here.
right. Well, we met, and we're having fun though, folks. We hope you are. Bill, now you say you're past president of the Fire Museum of Illinois.
Yes.
Who succeeded you?
Phil Little took over again. He had been for a while. And
Is he a Democrat or Republican?
I don't know. I think he was born Catholic. Kenny raised him Catholic, I think.
Was it his son?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ken has got sons and daughters all over the place.
Yeah. I got a grandson
Right,
too.
Rich.
But anyways,
Oh, that's right. Too.
is there anything going on? You got anything this month over there?
Yes, we just had an open house last Saturday. The last Saturday of every month we'll have an open house from 10 until 2. And this is at 5218 Southwestern. And we are very involved right now with, and this is a historical, horrific part of Chicago history, Our Lady of the Angels fire. And some people contacted me, and I've been working with the author, and the writer, and the director of When Angels Wept. And this is a story of Our Lady of the Angels fire.
It's a live stage play.
It's a live stage play. It's at 3502 North Elston Avenue at the Prop Theater, and it'll be from February 27th to April 7th. It is an enactment and of that tragedy of the 92 children and the 3 nuns that died in the fire, which then created a worldwide, not just nationwide, changes in the fire prevention codes of schools, and how now the kids must go through fire drills, and things have been really tightened up. Mr. Charlie Grippo contacted me. He's the author of this. His idea is not to, he doesn't want to hurt anybody. It's semi-fictitious. The names have changed. Even it's not Our Lady of the Angels. It's another school name, which skips me right now. And this is quite a play for someone that's going to look in the history books and see what happened. This is a tragedy.
So whatever the name is, it's obvious what this is.
When Angels Wept.
Yeah.
And like I say, he's changed everything. Mm-hmm. The only thing he didn't change was, like the Chicago Bears or the Merchandise Mart, mm-hmm. Names like that.
Right. Well,
and it's dedicated to the firemen, the policemen, the nurses, the medical personnel that took care of these kids and parents. He doesn't want to hurt, like I say, he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but he felt that it had to be brought out, and hoping that the powers to be, in other words, politicians, mm-hmm. Will not rape the laws, the laws pertaining to school safety.
Sure. So what he's really doing is he's using theater in its highest purpose, and is like to actually analyze and think and advance thought. And isn't that right?
Yes.
Provoke.
Well, to provoke thoughts about this so that it's never forgotten, which it shouldn't be. This was December 1st of 1958, 50-some years ago. One of his things is that he was afraid that it would be forgotten about.
Yeah.
So I give him a lot of credit. There has been some people that have criticized, how can you make money off of this, and how can you bring this up and all of that. Well, I'm sorry, but a lot of things have been brought up like that, like the Holocaust and
sure
that type of thing.
We'll be right back to the discussion following this short intermission.
Are you looking for a good place to have lunch or dinner? Well, I have just the right place for you to go, and that's Sorrento's Village Restaurant and Pizzeria located at 2318 North Mannheim Road in Melrose Park. Now, every Friday from 5 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., you can enjoy their all-you-can-eat buffet and pasta bar. A perfect way for families and friends to enjoy a delicious fresh meal together for just $11.95 for adults and $7.95 for children, 10 years and under. Sorrento's is proud to introduce its Friday night buffet with pasta bar made to order. Fresh pasta with your choice of vodka, 4 cheese Alfredo, or a marinara sauce, plus Sorrento's meatballs and sausage, and a buffet that is burning with favorites from risotto, seafood, and chicken dishes, and a variety of Sorrento's pizzas and full salad bar, and garlic bread. Again, just $11.95 for adults and $7.95 for children, 10 years and under. All you can eat. Also, you can enjoy their affordable, fast, perfect, full-service catering. Catering might sound expensive, but when you choose Sorrento's, we do the work, and you take the applause for a memorable party for every occasion. Or you use one of our beautiful banquet rooms, accommodating 20 to 200 guests. Many catering orders can be prepared the same day or within 24 hours. No other weekday lunch buffet like it. Sorrento's weekday, Monday to Friday, lunch buffet is perfect for business, get-togethers, even funeral luncheons. Soup, salad, pasta, pizza, vegetables, freshly baked bread, meat, and or fish, plus dessert. Call 847-455-9440 for group prices. On Tuesday, purchase a regular price soft drink and enjoy the fabulous buffet at half off from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Remember, for the best food in town, go to Sorrento's Village Restaurant and Pizzeria, located at 2318 North Mannheim Road in Melrose Park, just south of Fullerton Avenue on the west side of the street, and plenty of free parking. You can call Frank or Sam at 847-455-9440. That's Sorrento's Village Restaurant, located at 2318 North Mannheim Road in Melrose Park. Call 847-455-9440. That's 847-455-9480 for the best food in town.
Now back to Meet the Chicago Historians. Jack?
Here we are. We're going to return to our open mic discussion, and we'd ask you to call us if we weren't being recorded now, but we sure wish we could talk to you. Maybe one day we'll go back to some live stuff. But where were we before? Anybody?
Where were we?
On
the play.
On the play. Lady
Right.
Angels, correct.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a fictionalized version.
It's it's called the New Lincoln Theater Group, their staff, and I've been sitting in on the rehearsals, and it's I got to give these people a lot of credit. They how they can memorize all of their scripts and do this. It's quite a thing.
They must love it because there's sure no money at this end, right? Right?
No. Not. And like I say, they changed the names. Now those were all Italian out there. I mean, 95% of them.
What are the
but now these are it opens up with the Donahue house, the Donahue home. Mm-hmm. And this is Mary Donahue, that is a girl that dies in a fire.
Right.
And they all seem to be Irish. He's changed this all Irish. The church and the school is called Our Holy Mother of the Saints School and Church, and it ends up in Mount Carmel Cemetery and some of the settings. But he's done a good job, and I'm kind of fond of bringing this up. I was on the job then. I went on the job in '55, of course, but I was drafted, so I was in France when the fire came about. My company was there, though. I would have been there. My dad called me, and I told him later on. I said, I never stood back from a job, or they always wanted to be busy, but I'm glad I wasn't there. Yeah. I saw some of the and I don't want to say antics, but the guys, the way, if they were there and had anything to do with it, they would just go the other way. They didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to do anything. The museum, we had it's like a a futuristic thing on the squads and that. And one of the guys that was there, Dick Scheid, is the guy that picture of him carrying the little boy out was went all over the world. And Dick came to the we worked together. He came to this squad thing that we had at the museum, and he saw Jack Gallipo and I with a copy of an old firefighter magazine, and it had that picture on it. He all of a sudden got up and left. He just walked out, and I asked Jack later. I said, "Hey, where'd Dick go?" He said he found out later on. He says he thought we were going to talk about the fire. So I mean, this is the way it affected people. I know it'll affect some of the people going to see When Angels Wept, but you can't change history.
No.
You just can't change it or bring it back.
Was there much research into the factual material? Obviously,
that's
fictionalized, but he must have done a lot of.
No, he went back and researched this, and to be very truthful, the church, they screwed up back then, and he pulls no bones. He brings all of that out in the play.
You mean before the fire stuff?
After taking care of things and that. So he took everything from the inquest and all the investigation and all of that stuff, and
I was going to mention something about that too. When that happened, I was coming home from grade school. I went to St. Robert Bellarmine school, grade school.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and I came home. It was like, I guess I was in 7th grade. I'm trying to remember now.
Yes.
Anyway, I came home, and I was able to come home for lunch. It was only like 8 blocks to go home. So I went home, and my mom had lunch ready for me, and Frank Reynolds was on the air. And then he mentioned what happened there, and it's, oh, my God. And not till after it was all over, I realized I lost a cousin there. Wow. So it hits pretty hard, when you're a kid like that. But, that and the fact about Kennedy getting assassinated, I can always remember that, too. That's another thing. I was in high school at the Paul, and 1 o'clock lunch period, they brought everybody, we're watching a film at lunch. Sometimes they have films and things like that, and then they broke in on that. So, I mean, that's two vivid things you don't forget. I mean,
that's 9/11.
Yeah, 9/11. Yeah, 9/11 too, no doubt about it. So.
What were you doing then, Rich? Remember?
I was at Northwestern in the bookstore buying some books, and they had a TV on showing the whole process, and we were all stunned by it. But I'm just wondering, though, did they ever narrow down the cause of that fire to a likely young man who I think was smoking in a area where there was a bunch of trash near one of the stairwells?
Yes, and that's all brought up in here.
Right.
There's one of the actors plays him, and they of course have changed the name. The name in the play is George Smith, and he goes partly into that, but that guy, the original, the guy that started the fire, is dead now.
Oh,
he went to California. He was an over-the-road trucker. And he has, in the meantime, has died.
Did he confess or something one time, or?
That's all
somebody did, didn't they?
Questionable.
Yeah.
He was convicted of setting some garages and buildings in Cicero. So
That's
Cicero
right.
did.
Connection, right?
Yeah, Cicero had that connection, and.
And I think many of us have seen John Calloway Chicago Stories on Channel 11 PBS, done about 10 years or so ago on the fire. Very well done.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Channel 11 has done a lot of great stuff. There's some great books out. One of the books is that everybody remembers was written by a guy who's a convicted arsonist now. Dave Cowan. Yeah.
Really?
And he did Time in the Joint, yeah. And Dave is out now, and you mention it to these people and the survivors in that, and they're devastated by this guy. I mean, he was like their hero. They put this book together, and and then he ends up like this, just a scumbag.
He's written a book including other major Chicago fires as
Yes,
well. He's
yeah.
really researching fires, and here he turns
Right.
out to have been
Yeah, he's an arsonist.
an arsonist,
Yeah.
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 Well, he was like, I mean, not for money arson or just for thrills arson.
For
think about the
thrills.
thrills.
Yeah.
For thrills,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's a sickness.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they show in the play When Angels Wept. They show that this guy that plays the arsonist in here, they show that he was a like a sexual deviant.
Wow.
And believe me, for 46 years, I've seen some of those people. One of them was depicted in Backdraft, and we know who they were.
So you mean they get their gratification through lighting these fires? Is that what it is?
Through the excitement.
Seems
Yeah.
so.
Through the excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing, it's just really funny. I remember going back a number of years. I think it was Channel 5 NBC here. They were coming with a big study about how many of these fires are really being set by people out there. Like this was a secret. My first week on the job, as a matter of fact, I talked to John about this. Burglar alarm was like 212 East 47th Street. There's a little pawn shop there or something. Nope, nobody's there. 10 minutes later, the place is ablaze. Well, I was working one by myself. I was a brand new guy. They put me on intersection control at 47th in Indiana, right near where the hospitality, what do they call it, truck pulls up with the coffee and,
Oh, the canteen?
Yeah, the canteen.
Yeah.
He was there. I was there. So.
Sure.
But anyway, I was saying, here I am a dumb 21-year-old, know nothing. I could figure it out, but it took them years to figure this.
It was a regular routine there for a while in the 50s, 60s, 70s that you'd get a tavern fire and you'd go in. The first thing as a boss you'd notice is, gee whiz, where are all the
All the
bottles?
pictures are gone.
All the bottles and all the pictures, the trophies and that. Gee, they're all gone. They're missing.
But they were consumed by the flame.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's just like too with these senseless fires. In winter, like the bad part of winter where it's so cold, all of a sudden when the temperature rises a little bit, all of a sudden these fires.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yep. Yeah. We just had that one, just a keynote, that one on, what was it, on 49th and
Ashland?
In Ashland or wherever.
Yeah.
Well, everybody showed it as all ice and that. And somebody asked me about it. I said, yeah, I watched that. I said, you know what I did? I went over and I turned the thermostat up a little bit. And then I put the recliner down a little bit, and I watched the whole thing, and I was fine. I was warm, and that's what's nice about being retired.
Oh boy.
Well, if you've been out worked like you have or I have, and so many things you can see through it. You can't prove something, but you can see through it. Just like the politicians when they say something. Like what was the famous politician doing at 47th in Indiana at 10 after 2 Sunday morning? When he get robbed. And where we know that was a heavy prostitution, drugs, over there, and he got robbed. This is many years ago, but what was he doing there? Oh yes, he was.
The funnier thing is his excuse.
Yeah. What was it?
Or alibi.
Yeah, well, yeah. he was probably wanted to conference with some constituents or something like that. Interface. That would be the word.
Who was the politician here? Got caught with the gun on the plane.
I forget his name. It was just in the news recently.
And he said he worked for a
security company. Yeah,
for a security company.
Right,
he forgot
right.
to. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
And the gun was unloaded. So,
well, wouldn't that secure? We don't want to get carried away here.
This is Chicago, folks.
There was a a couple of judge incidents like that. One guy was stopped over. By some of the task force used to call him, and they pulled the guy over, and somehow he had the gun there, and of course they were wrong for the stop and everything according to the bosses. Another one, there's some judge gets in an argument with somebody. He's supposed to be waving the gun in his car, but he claimed it was a cigar. We know that cigars. I don't even want to mention any names, or necessarily get too heavy into these.
No, we have to protect the
Well,
innocent.
you know, but that's another thing that just brings you up to point, though. There are reasons where an otherwise lawful person should be able to arm themselves for protection legally. We're the last state in the union.
I like that sheriff of Milwaukee County on his statements of, you know what, we're the police. We can't be there all the time.
That's right.
You know, arm yourself. You know.
Yeah. Well, Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
exactly.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. Minority guy too, black guy.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And he's been very controversial, but controversial for the positive side.
in spite of what the press,
telling it like it is.
the press might tell you, your black citizens out here, they know they're the ones that are mostly victimized, and that's fact now.
Those
It's
crime
black
is black
on
on
black
black
crime,
crime,
yeah.
and FBI statistics will bear that out, and they could tell you. The trouble is, we get talking to the wrong people too often. Over the, you talk to the citizenry.
Yep.
They're glad to see you around.
That's why I started that $10,000 reward for you know, cop shot program. There's no better way of getting information out of people than wave
Oh,
10 grand in front of them.
We talked before the show. What is that again? Now for
The cop shot program has been in New York City for 30 years or more, and it has worked. They used to shoot coppers there, or shoot at them, you know, like they were in a range, and that has stopped it. And I saw all of these bumper stickers, and that came back to Chicago. That was after 9/11 when I was going there for the funerals and that of our guys killed in, you know, in the towers. But anyway, I came back here and talked to Phil Klein, and the police memorial now took it over.
Phil Klein being the former superintendent.
Former
And now-
superintendent and now the head of the
Yeah.
Police Memorial Foundation.
And a real good guy, regular guy.
Real, yeah,
Isn't he?
a regular guy, a street guy.
Yeah.
And Phil took it over, and he says, "No," he says, "you're not going to be paying 10 grand." I said, "Well, here's my 10 grand. You know, you do with it what you want." But they took it over, and we now have a cop shot program here in Chicago, and we're trying to get this mope of a superintendent, police, who comes from New York City, knows all about it. We're trying to get him to put it on the cars. We got some legal goof from the police department that said, well, it's against the law to have a bumper sticker on your car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So everybody would be
They had
in
other ones
jail.
before.
Yeah, yeah. So we want to get that. If you take a look
It's
at my
against
car,
the
you'll see
law.
that. You know, it's a cop shot program. We have a number to call. It's 24/7. It's handled by the detectives of the Chicago Police Department.
Heaven forbid that there should be any laws violated in Chicago.
Oh, yes.
I mean, what would this come to?
Oh,
Yes,
I have a question to ask you, gentlemen.
yes, John.
Okay, in the last couple weeks or so, they have been talking about police officers going to work and having something to drink before they go on duty. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
What, you know,
It's not only Chicago. I mean, it's all.
Well,
that
yeah.
was a suburb somewhere.
Westchester.
Okay.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
happen to know the mayor of Westchester because I do a lot of
Okay.
telephone work in Westchester. What my question is, how can a police officer stop a motorist and issue him a DUI when he himself has got alcohol on his breath?
Well, he can, but he shouldn't.
No.
He can, but he shouldn't, and he shouldn't drink.
I mean,
Stop the night before, for crying out loud.
I don't think that. I mean, these people. I mean, they get a 10-1, and they drive like a bunch of maniacs to begin with. Now this guy's got alcohol on his breath, and I mean, I don't think that's proper. I don't think that.
No, it's not. Nobody can the argument there.
There's only a few suburbs that allow a small percentage.
They
of
should be no
I think
suburbs,
you're right.
and I will give Jesse White credit that he is going after this situation about having police officers with alcohol on their breath.
Makes you think of airline
Is-
pilots and the
is
movie
Jesse,
Flight.
Yeah.
Is Jesse doing something about it?
Well,
do you know?
he said he was going to.
Oh, good.
Because I saw him on the news the other night upstairs that he says that he is not going to put up with that.
Oh, good. Jesse's a decent guy.
He might say maybe you could have a tumbler full.
Hard one.
I had to say, excuse me, folks. They say that's what kills Waterville, right?
By the way, there's a bill in Springfield that was just introduced by a state senator friend. Phil Klein had just told me about this. We talked about the monument down at the lakeshore by Soldier Field, the police monument, and how they tagged it and desecrated it, wrote on it, and that we were having a Father's Day Mass there this last year, and they painted. They got the guys, but Phil now has contacted this, and the bill is in the Senate. I don't have that with me, the number of the bill, but anyway, it will increase the penalty for anyone that desecrates a police, fire, or military monument, and it's about time. I hope.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, I hope that the punishment is going to be, either circumcision.
Too late.
Or crucifixion, whatever you want to.
How about flogging?
I think being neutered would probably be one of the
some side benefits.
But I'm laughing about it, but it ain't funny,
No.
So this is coming up, and I congratulate Phil for getting this going.
Just what you said, it would appear to be akin to any sort of legislation that covers desecration of, say, you hear of these guys breaking into a Jewish cemetery or something. Real brave guys, by the way.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, they're going to spray paint something, where no one's around.
Yeah,
and they desecrate
spray a swastika.
Whatever it is, that sort of thing. I'm sure there's specific legislation to cover that, and it surely is akin to it. Because, what would more sacred than the people who laid down their lives for the country and,
Yeah. And I'm glad he included everybody in this, and we, the fire department, has a monument right, just to the south of the police monument. So,
I know we all kid about this beat's working, but you do remember your people who didn't make it through.
Yep.
And I know you've seen a lot over the years, right?
You know what? I get that all the time with the police. When we lose, the fire department loses somebody. It can be multiple, a wall coming down a floor or whatever.
Two guys.
But I think the police are a little behind this year. That's a hell of a thing to keep track of.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little less.
I think 1968 was like a record year. 11 or 12 cops in Chicago got killed that year.
Could be, yeah.
My first full year on the job, too. But like I know, Bill, it's okay to say you lost a son, policeman, right?
Yeah, and that was one of my things with this, is that he was a line of duty death.
State police.
State police, right.
Yeah, and what they call a routine traffic stop? No?
Well, no, it really wasn't. They were chasing an escapee.
Oh, okay.
And that's, he attempted to stop him, and first time I think it was that the method of killing a policeman with a car was used, and that little fella is out.
Yeah, after about.
He got out after 13 years. What? Yeah, he's out. He's working in Franklin Park, and oh yeah. So you talk about justice. That isn't justice.
It's not justice.
No.
Not hardly. Not even nearly.
No.
There's no bringing your son back, but
yeah.
that really adds. It must have really added insult to the.
It aggravates it.
Yeah.
Sure, it aggravates it. And I see there was a copper killed here not too long ago, or even a civilian in a car chase, and that just. Wow, that just eggs away at me all the time. how stupid it could be. You know.
And unfortunately, a chase is necessary.
Yes,
Chase is
yeah, it
hard.
is.
You know, let the bad guy go. In Chicago, they really a lot of trouble. Here's a typical. I'll show you a typical in Chicago now. I'll be the beat car, and I'll be the dispatcher, and I'll be the sergeant. He'll be number 810. 811 emergency. Go at 811. Yeah, I got a blue Chevrolet running westbound on 63rd Street from Cicero. High rate of speed from us. 810. Go at 810. Tell them to break off that chase. That's about how it goes here, you know.
Yeah.
There's no. I've heard one time the sergeant's telling him to break off the chase, and someone says he just stuck up a place in Ford City. Well, follow him carefully, he says, which we know we're supposed to anyway. I had to get that one in there.
Well, I know, that's nuts. And this kid admitted. I was very, very happy. There was I won't mention his name, but he's a police boss, and he was on the scene, and he stopped all of the people on 53 and on the expressway there, and let me see your driver's license. And he picked the driver's license from everybody that was around, so that they couldn't go anywhere as witnesses to what happened.
Okay. Got some names now. Yeah.
That was that was good police.
Was he with the state?
Because here he was a state. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Eddie was a good guy. Mm-hmm. And this kid admitted, he's in court. He said, "Well, I offed the pig."
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see a lot of remorse, huh?
Oh, sure.
Poor his life.
There was no remorse even when he went up for parole. So.
What the heck?
Yeah.
You know, your average citizen out here thinks of the justice in this sense, like they think if their son's out with his friends and they just happen to be in the car, it turns out to be warm, joyriding, he doesn't know it, that he'll wind up in the penitentiary. I mean, as we know, it doesn't work out that way.
No, it doesn't.
And it shouldn't, of course, that way. But Lord, there has to be somewhere where common sense prevails and in protection of the citizenry.
I just saw in the paper this morning that Judge McMorrow died, Marianne McMorrow, and that she was the descent of the legislation that would punish either the parents or that of some kids that were drinking in the home and then went out.
Responsibility.
And the responsibility.
Was she the first female Chief Justice?
Yes.
In the Illinois Supreme Court, right? I saw that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And now Ed Burke's wife is.
Yeah. Well, she's not the chief, is she? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gee. Our kids used to take baton with their kids. Baton lessons.
I like what McMorrow said when she was appointed chief judge, and she took off her robe the first day, and all the other judges were around. She says, "Well, take a look at me. You never saw any chief judge take off their robe and have a skirt underneath it."
You mean she disrobed?
She disrobed in front of I kind of followed her. She was quite a gal.
Yeah, judges are interesting. Some people they're so sharp, and they just such their intuition, and they can size up a situation in common sense, and then some, I don't know.
That's what's wrong with everything now. I think that's what the judicial system, Jack. Mm-hmm. If these judges had the balls that they should have to sentence these people the way they should, and here you got politicians shutting down jails. Mm-hmm. They should be building more.
Yeah, that's.
We need a Joe Arpaio here.
Well, you hear someone like in the minority system say, "What a shame! All of our men in prison." Well, apparently not enough of them are, considering the crime that's still out there. Or at least not for a long time.
Yeah.
So, what are we about to do up, John? Or before we go for the little break, we'll go. Okay. We'll hold it.
You're listening to Meet the Chicago Historians, and we're glad you are. Our panel will be right back after these announcements. Please stay tuned and don't touch that dial.
Well, friends, spring is just around the corner. Now is the time to think about your roof, siding, and gutters on your home or place of business. We can get some heavy rainstorms in the next few months, so be sure the roof, siding, and gutters are in good shape. You don't want the mold or mildew in your attic or crawl space or drip, drip, drip on your ceilings in your rooms, or have your walls damaged by a leaky gutter or a bad siding. So don't have double expense. Sooner or later, you're going to have to get them repaired. So call Besch Brothers Roofing, Siding, and Gutters at 630-616-1359. Mike Besch will drive over in his shiny red truck with ladders on top and Besch Brothers Roofing signs on the doors. Mike will look over your roof, siding, and gutters, give you an estimate, and go from there. So don't have double expense. Call Besch Brothers Roofing for a free estimate at 630-616-1359. That's Besch Brothers Roofing, Siding, and Gutters at 630-616-1359. Call today, 630-616-1359.
Sorry, Gouverneur. Once again, here are our historians, and again we return you to the panel.
Okay, just a reminder, present today, Bill Kugelman, to my left, Rich
Here.
Lang, present. Rich, present.
Yes, sir.
And,
Aye, aye.
And a returning prodigal son, Tom Tyler. It's good to see him. Believe me, especially today.
Yeah.
So, now, getting back to our
Topic?
Our topic of the day, which I've almost forgotten. How about mayors of Chicago, which brings into a sort of a parallel sort of a topic of interesting that we were just voted with the fourth most miserable city in the country. Now, is that miserable? I'm not particularly more miserable than I was last year. Are you? Anyone?
What actually brought that about?
I don't know. What measures miserable?
I think they were stressing commuter time and the weather was a big part of this this ranking.
Not the crime rate or the murder rate?
No, that wasn't brought up in the articles.
I don't go nowhere, and if I see my shadow, I come back in. Or something, you know. But I mean, it's interesting that we have this. On the one hand, we know we got a fine town here. We got a lot here. People come here; they're so beautiful. I remember having relatives, in-laws, and my brother-in-law's wife lived in Southern California. It was a drier area, so, semi-arid and what do you call it, Mediterranean type climate. And she thought the parks looked so beautiful. I thought they looked kind of run down, but they were green. See, and to a native Chicagoan, I mean, you think things look a little dumpy, but we got them. We got a nice. We have a good layout for this the city for the old Burnham plan. We got the boulevard system, which people don't seem to understand, was designed as kind of like your pleasure way around town. It was non-commercial, and it was all connected. You could go from somewhere on the northwest side and wind up at like 79th and South Shore Drive without getting off the boulevards. So, but we have that.
The parks?
The parks.
Yeah. No, Chicago's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
You know, it's but like anything else, no, we have our problems. Mm-hmm. We have our problems.
We seem to be here to provide comedy relief for everyone with our political shenanigans, though.
Yes. What else is known around the world now in the country as the Chicago way of doing things?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems to be, like everybody would say, you're from Chicago. Oh, Al Capone?
Yeah, my dad was stationed in Southampton in England, World War II, in the Navy, and some kids around the base. Hey, Yank, where you from? He says, Chicago. Oh, yeah. Now, that was only like 12, 15 short years after.
Yeah.
But now they've still, for a while it was Michael Jordan, they would say.
Right.
But nonetheless, I mean, for what we have here, it's a shame that we can't have some open, I don't know. There's people who are married to, as I said to Lieutenant one time, we're talking about the way things were done with promotions and assignments and all. I says, Lieutenant, and this was Jimmy Williams, that Jim Williams on Channel 2 News. This was his father. He had been a park district policeman. He was the longest-ranking lieutenant at the time on the job, and he would talk to Torquay Tibby. And I says, Lou, what the problem here is? People in Chicago are so used to things being run crooked, they don't feel comfortable otherwise. Would you say there's any merit to that, or
that's what they call the merit system?
Merit, yeah.
Somebody came up with that.
Merit,
the merit system. Yeah.
But the argument though is that it's that crooked system that makes things work best. Things get done. Who knows what cost?
Do they?
But they
yeah,
do,
yeah, right.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
As he said, though, in his own case, now he was a lieutenant, so he knew how things were done himself. But here was a guy who had several, for what it's worth, his advanced degrees. He got, and he was. He said he went in for the oral boards for captain. And number one, they had what was his name there? Sam Nolan was on the oral board, who was an assistant deputy superintendent, deputy superintendent at the time. Only one thing though, his career rank was lieutenant. See, he objected him being there. He said, in other places, when they went into that type of interview, they would ask for people from Chicago or somewhere to come over to Cincinnati or Cleveland or wherever it was. They do the interviewing, not even know who they're interviewing, blindly.
Yes.
But you never saw such a reciprocal thing here.
No. That's one of the things that we and everybody knows we went on strike in 1980, and it wasn't just for pay, but it was for the good old Chicago
now remember,
way to get
we
rid
be
of
who?
that.
We are who? One on
The
strike.
fire department.
There you go.
And one of the things was we wanted a grievance procedure, and I had a very personal problem with that. I was chief of captain of Engine 19, 34th in Michigan, and the chief fire marshal had told my bosses, don't ever put that guy in the buggy, in other words, acting as a chief. And
meaning you?
Meaning me.
Yeah, okay.
Meaning me. So we were getting, we were starting in with union stuff and that, and the city came out. They were afraid that we were going to, go on strike and get a contract like Jane promised us. And so they came out with their own version of a grievance system, grievance paper. So I tested it. And the chief's exam was coming up very, very soon, and there was going to be an oral test along with the written. And my grievance was that this would be used against me when I took the exam. And okay, so it went through. The bosses signed it. It went through. In the meantime, I was transferred to a company on the north side then, at Division and Western, and I was there for a while. And one Saturday, we're scrubbing the floor. I got my boots on, and one of the bosses pulls up in their red car and comes in and says, "Bill," he says, "get in the buggy with me." He said, "You're wanted down at the academy." This is on a Saturday, and when nothing is down there. And I said, "What's going on, Chief?" He said, "I have no idea." He says, "I was just told to come out here and pick you up," and he was a nice guy, about it. And he didn't know. We go down there, and I walk up on the third floor, and here's the offices there, and there's this same chief fire marshal sitting behind a desk with a couple other big bosses sitting in the office there. In fact, the one guy was a good friend of mine. He just held his hand over his face, and he didn't even want to look at me, And I go in and I salute Chief, Captain Kugelman reports. Well, okay. He says, started in, and I said, "Excuse me." I said, "But why am I here?" He says, "Well, you made out the grievance." I said, "The grievance?" I mean, it was months after I made it out,
Yeah.
I said, "What grievance?" He says, about acting in the buggy in the 10th Battalion. And then it came back to me, and I said, "And what is this?" He says, "Well, we're here to hear your grievance." I said, "Wait a minute. You're the guy that wrote it. You're the guy that wrote the grievance. What the hell kind of a kangaroo court?" And I could see the other guy. They knew what was going on. They knew that I was very, very irritated. I was hot.
Yeah.
And
Naturally.
I said, this is a lot, and I used a lot of words and a lot of language that I'm not going to use on here. And I said, this is BS. And I turned around and I walked out, and I said, come on and take me back to my company, to this chief.
Yeah.
He says, come on and take me back. And I slammed the door and the glass broke. And I went out, and I didn't even turn around. I just kept going, and then he drove me back. And he made a couple of calls, and I said, what did they say? I knew he was calling back there. He says, they haven't stopped laughing yet.
Bill, why don't you give us a recap on how that strike ended? Some compromise, or was it more of a real victory for one side over the
Oh
other? How do
no,
you
it was
see
a victory for the strikers, for
Basically
the,
so, right?
for the
Okay.
city.
Okay.
And to show you, now that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
To show you right now what that strike, what that contract got for us, was what we call minimum manning. Every engine, every truck, every vehicle in the Chicago Fire Department has to be run by so many men.
Okay.
The police department doesn't have that. They just shut that car down, shut it down, if they don't have the manpower. They have to do this. They have to keep so many men on our company. And
Very good.
And if they don't, they have to pay overtime. They have to rehire the guys to keep. We're supposed to keep 5 guys on each company. Now, in the meantime, they have desecrated that too. Some only have 4. Some of my counterparts let them slip away from that, and I wanted no part of it when I was president of the union. But that's what that got us. And we, the local 2, the union 1, and that not only got us a contract, which was unheard of in the city of Chicago, it got collective bargaining for the whole state of Illinois.
Yeah, they came through with that bill.
We have
about 2
not
years
had
ago.
a strike of police or fire
Police too.
yet. Yeah. Oh yeah. Coppers got their collective bargaining, and they've got their contract, and now we do collective bargaining in the state
And Bill,
of
during the
Illinois.
strike, was it almost unanimous or a very high percentage of firefighters went on strike and stayed on strike?
When I called for the strike at 5:15, everybody to walk out 5:15 on Valentine's Day,
And when it was?
February
dramatic.
14th,
I can recall, yeah.
and
Wow.
we had 97%.
Very high.
That
Very
hurt.
Now
high.
they wheedled back in, they wheedled back out for 23 days.
Is that what it was?
There was a lot
Seemed
of
like a long 23 days, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it was a long 23 days.
I remember,
Tell me. Oh boy, tell me about it. And I tell you what, there's a lot of hard feelings. When we went back to work, I came up with a Frank Mascari was in jail, and so Bill Reddy was the next. He was the vice president. I was the chairman of the strike force, and I made up a memo, gave it to the department on how to put people back to work. We're going to go back to work, so and so. Do it this way. And I had already talked to these bosses. They're friends of mine, and they agreed. We can't put strikers and non-strikers together. She had hired 900 and some grabbers, we call them, off the street. Some of these guys were just off the street. Come on in and sign. Now you're a fireman.
Now there's a story right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Who would believe that in the
Absolutely.
1980s, you know?
Yeah.
But then,
But it was done that way, and a lot of those guys ended up bosses, and some of them ended up in jail. They, are fired and off. They were just, like I say, just off the street. There was one guy that, they would duck me, later on. But I got to know this one guy. He worked for me, and I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "How how did you get on the job? Well, he says, he came in. He says, you know what? He says, I was fired before the strike. He was fired for drinking.
He
was a lush.
They brought him back.
And then during the strike, bingo, he just come in, signed the thing, and they put him back to work. So that's the type of person, that was
We've got to
around.
learn more about that whole strike situation.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
got to be a book written about it someday.
Well, I tell you what, Mike Flannery and I got together. There were very few of the media that I would leave up in the Union Hall.
The CBS Mike Flannery?
Yeah.
He's
very
with
good.
Fox
Okay.
now.
And Mike, he's
That's
with
right.
Fox. And Mike and I sat down, and I started to give him tapes and talk about it, and we
he
just
writing
never
it?
finished.
Is he writing-
No, we just never finished.
Oh, he's working on it. Or was?
No, we forgot about it a
No.
long time ago.
Yeah.
But
I hope somebody does.
there was just him and a few of the media that I knew and trusted, and they were, they were good to us. At least they weren't.
Well, what about
Off the road.
my fellow workers, the cops out there? Some were sympathetic and some were excuse me.
Yes,
some were
they
jerks.
were. Yes,
So I
yes,
didn't
they
say
were.
what you thought I was going to say there.
And my feelings with the police, and that I hang around with some of them. They're good friends of mine, and yes, there were some negative and some positive.
Yeah. There was no
and it's a shame. A lot of them are still that way, Jack. They don't realize this new guy that's headed the FOP, Mike Shields, when he got in there, when he got elected, he made some statement about, we were the first department to get a contract with the city and that, and
Really?
I had to call Mike and tell him, no,
No.
pal, no, you didn't.
Well,
No, you didn't.
That
He
should be
wasn't
like-
even around then. I don't think.
no, I don't know. No, he wasn't. Was he boring? No.
Yeah, probably not.
That's like what they call a judicial notice in court. Like you don't have to prove that the world is round, the sky is blue.
Yeah,
We know that was it. Yeah,
yeah.
that was like, as you said, monumental. But there was-
When we, Rich, you'll like this. When we got called up to the I can't think of his name now.
Well,
The judge, Heckinger, John
Oh, yeah.
Heckinger. Heckinger called us all in, and this was going to be the final. I mean, I had already been fired before I called for it, and we all went in, and Frank Muscari was the president, sitting next to me, and Heckinger came up and he called Moon up. Frank Muscari, we call him Moon, calls him up and he said, Mr. Muscari, have you ordered your men back to work? And Frank says, no, Judge, I haven't. And he says, are they still picketing? He says, as far as I know. Okay. Mr. Reddy went up there, asked him the same thing. Mr. Kugelman, come on up there. He says, well, you don't even have a job, do you? I said, no, sir, I don't. I says, I'm working for the union. He said, have you ordered your men back? Or no, I haven't. Well, in comes, we all sit down. In comes a little Fink that used to work for me, in fact. And he comes up. He's going to be a witness for the city. And he says, the judge says, Mr. So-and-so, he says, have you just came in, have you noticed firemen picketing around it? He says, yes, Judge. He says, I just came by, wherever it was, Franklin, 42's house and that.
Yeah.
And he mentioned a couple of them, and he says, yes, they're still picketing. Bingo. Frank looks at me, sitting next to me, and he takes his wallet out, which had no money in it, his ring off, his watch, and that, and he says, here, you better keep these for me. As soon as
That's when
this
he
guy
went-
left,
yeah.
Mr. Muscari, come here.
Yeah.
Bailiff, you're going to jail.
Did anyone like Frank or anyone use any strong language to the judge, or was that someone said they did?
No.
No.
And there was no strong language to the mayor either.
Mm-hmm.
That was all created by the media or Mr.
Well, she might have used some
Mr.
herself.
J. McMullen. Oh, yes, she did. Yeah.
Yeah, there's Mr. J. McMullen, yeah. How come her name wasn't Jane McMullen? Why is this,
She was probably embarrassed.
Okay.
And listen, I like Jane.
Her name was Burke before, I understand.
Yes.
Was that a married name? Or? She was a widow.
Oh boy, I don't remember now, Jay.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I just went a little.
Funny story about. I don't know how we got on this, but after everything was over with, I was a trustee of the union yet, and who was? Oh God, I can't think of who was the president then.
Marty Howland.
Marty
No.
Howland,
Was he?
I think it was. Yeah, but anyway. Three of us, John Hurling, Jack Gallipo, and myself, were on the committee to put together the International Firefighters Convention in 1982. Now, this is right after the strike. We had that goofy guy from California, Brushfire Bill, that goof that she hired as a commissioner, just oh boy,
Brushfire Bill.
yeah. What was his name, John? Yeah, I can't. But anyway,
I can't remember either.
Anyway,
Oh, he was the commissioner.
he was the
I don't
commissioner.
remember.
Yeah,
Really.
and not for long. And he was the guy that wanted to wash Spider-Man off the.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was his idea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh yeah.
When did he with a tranquilizer dart was up there?
Anyway, Jack and John and I go up to see the mayor now to have a international firemen's convention in Chicago right after we went on strike. Is kind of, a big thing.
Yeah.
So you need the city's okay to do things and
Support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we make an appointment with the mayor's office, and we go up there and go in her office, and her desk is in front of us. The three of us are sitting like in front of it, and I don't remember his name. He was the finance guy, great big guy. He was the finance commissioner or whatever he was, and so here Jane comes walking in. She's got a cup of coffee. I think it was coffee, and she sits down and she just nods her head to each of us. I'm right in front of her, and she starts, and we give our bit, on what we want to do and what we need their cooperation and so forth. And okay, can we do that? Yeah, the guy nods. Yeah, we can do that. All right, you gotta. But let me tell you something. And then she starts, and she's hammering on her desk, and I could feel Jack and John almost quiver when she started. Let me tell you something, Kugelman. I don't want to see any of those firemen friends of yours hanging on the light post hollering Jane Burns sucks. Well, I start laughing. They're just about dying. They don't know what's going to come. And she starts laughing, too. So, the rapport was good. It was quite a time.
You did have it then, huh?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. And she had tents set up in the on Chicago Avenue, right next to the firehouse, 98's house.
Yeah.
She had the water tower all closed down, and just for us, for our people to go through it. She in that parking lot there, she had tents with top shelf booze in it. All you want? Oh no, we got. I mean, she wanted to make up.
Yeah,
she wanted to make up for what happened.
Well, just in the public relations idea of having the convention there after that was good for the city, was.
Well, yes, sure it was.
Would you say?
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. And it was, but it was planned way before the strike. It's planned
it was already started.
Like 6 or 8 years beforehand.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, to get ready.
Oh, that's good to hear.
But that was my deal with Jane Byrne, and from there it went downhill. We, I tried to get her reelected. To tell you the truth, I used to take her around to my firehouses and introduce her to the guys to show that, and Moon too. Moon was around to show that, hey, things that, she told us right out, like her words, you'll get your blank contract, but you're going to have to work for it. Mm-hmm. Well, we did. We had to go on strike, and we got it, and we appreciate it that way too.
Bill, you're talking about that convention, the union convention, right? Just the other day I was looking for some information for the 511 Club because, we're going to have our 60th anniversary party coming up in May. And I had me going through some files, and I found the program book from that.
Did you? Okay,
yes, I still have it yet in my crawl space.
All right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. John, just so someone doesn't understand, what is the 511 Club and, what's their purpose?
Okay, the 511 Club is an organization made up of volunteers, men and women. And our interest is working with the fire department. And what the 511 Club does is we have, right now, we have 2 canteen trucks. And we go out on the scene of fires, extra alarm fires, 2 alarm fires or better. And now recently we've been involved with the Chicago Police Department on their SWAT incidents. And we go out there and we serve refreshments to the emergency workers. Coffee, sweet rolls, in the wintertime, hot chocolate, hot coffee.
Donuts?
In the summertime, donuts, yeah. And also in the summertime, we have Gatorade and cold water and all that. And we're out there for the duration of the incident. Oh, somebody's got us.
I remember we were talking, and you and I had actually met. We didn't know it, though.
That's right.
January of 1968. He was out there. I was at the fire. And
yep.
The one I was talking about earlier with the,
And then when a fireman gets injured in the line of duty, the 511 Club sends a basket of fruit to his home for him to enjoy while he is recuperating. That has to be at the scene of a fire. In other words, if he walks into a building and he falls through the floor and he gets injured and he's laid up for any length of time, we send a basket of fruit to his home for him to enjoy during his recovery. If he should happen to get hurt in the firehouse, in other words, if they're drilling or something should happen, he gets injured in the firehouse, he's going to be laid up, then we send a $25 gift certificate to him from the closest food store in his neighborhood. If a fireman gets killed in the line of duty, which when I was president of the 511 Club for 12 years, we send a floral piece. The firebox that's on the street corners. Okay, we have a big floral piece made by Shamrock Gardens out in Lombard, and they make a beautiful floral piece, and then the president of the organization presents the floral piece to the family at the wake. Mm-hmm. And if a fireman or a policeman, now we're getting involved with the police department thanks to Jim Miradero. If there's a in-line duty death, like a policeman gets shot on duty or a fireman gets killed in the line of duty, at the wake and at the church, we send a canteen truck out there to serve refreshments to the mourners.
I don't know what we do without these guys. Where are you going to go at 3 o'clock in the morning when it's 20 below looking for a cup of coffee?
So,
Okay.
We'll be right back to the discussion following this short intermission.
Exhibitors Carpet Service has changed their name to Carpet Warehouse at 4300 West Montrose Avenue in Chicago, and their new location at 440 North Sheridan Road in Highwood, Illinois, called Carpet of Highwood. Stop in at Carpet Warehouse at 4300 West Montrose. Phone number 773-283-0100, or at 440 North Sheridan Road in Highwood. Phone number 847-266-1400. For carpet in your living room, dining room, bedroom, den, or family room. Stop in at either location for a great deal. Once again, Carpet Warehouse, 4300 West Montrose Avenue. Phone number 773-283-0100 in Chicago. Or Carpet of Highwood, 440 North Sheridan Road. Phone number 847-266-1400. Remember, if you need a carpet for your living room, dining room, bedroom, den, or family room, stop in at 4300 West Montrose Avenue in Chicago. Phone number 773-283-0100 or at 440 North Sheridan Road in Highwood. Phone number 847-266-1400 for a great deal.
Now back to Meet the Chicago Historians. Jack?
Yeah, welcome back, folks. I'm glad you're still with us. We're still with, going around the table counterclockwise,
Tom Tyler.
Rich Lang.
Bill Kugelman.
and me, Jack Ryan. We're kind of light today, but we're making up for it. And this, of course, it's a short month, so we got a short crew.
That's right.
You know what it is?
That's right.
Anyway, we were getting about mayors, and we were getting on this business about what makes how do we rank as such a the fourth most miserable. You know, is this scientific? And what areas are measured to show to count this misery? Is it overtaxation? Is it a lot of BS constantly from City Hall? Is it what is it?
Media.
Media?
Media.
Is it
Blame
the media?
everything on the media.
You think the media does?
line.
You mean like never let the facts get in the way of a good story?
Absolutely.
Is that-
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes from the good old place. What do they call it? AC? No, DC.
DC. Oh,
DC.
ACDC.
Okay.
Yeah. And did you ever? Now, anyone ever been involved with some story that winds up in the news, and you wonder, is this the same incident you were at, or did it ever happen to you? Yeah, it happened to me a few times, and there's really nothing you can do about it. They're out there, and if they do have any notions of taking a what do they call it when they call it something back?
A
know.
recall?
No, in the story they'll
Rehash.
no, the word it's
I know what you're talking about,
It's like-
Jack, and I can't.
it'll be on like page 12, 13, 14, way back in a little corner somewhere out of the way.
Yeah.
Correction, or that's not the word it is, but maybe someone can call that one in.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to Miserable City. Okay, what would you suppose would be one area that we could improve here to start? Well, I mean, personally, I don't think I'm more miserable than I was last year. Are you?
No, I don't think so. I think one of the reasons that we have gained that notoriety is the politics.
Retraction.
in this
Retraction.
city.
That's what I was looking for.
Good.
I mean, we're just we seem to be the laughing stock of the country in some areas, and you know, my God, even as much as my feelings towards the late, or not the late, but the last mayor, and some of them have been. The guy that we have now is just seems to be. I'm sure that's what they say, that everybody's picking on him.
Ooh.
The
Who's picking on him?
little guy.
I know, but I mean, who's picking on him?
The little guy in the tutu.
Yeah. You know, the tiny dancer.
Yeah. Or 9.5.
Yeah.
He's called too. But you know that's got to be where it is. Don't they always tell us that you know when there's a problem, you always look at the top guy. You always look at the head of the organization. And
You mean Mike Madigan?
Mike Madigan? Yeah. We keep going up and up. The more we go down and down.
John Cass calls it Madaganistan.
Yes,
That's right.
yeah.
But I don't know. I don't remember anybody from any of these reporters being too tough on Daley or this guy. Do you? I mean,
Oh no, they had him in their back pocket.
I mean, it's like if he said, the sky is orange, and they wouldn't question him on it. I suppose they'd be.
Well, we in the fire department back when Kelly was the mayor.
Okay, that's a long time ago now, right?
That's a long time ago.
We had Kelly Kennelly Daley.
Yeah. And Kelly gave the fire department, and there was no such thing as collective bargaining or contracts, or it was a handshake. pat on the back and a handshake. He gave the fire department a day off, and to cut down the hours that we worked. We still worked at that time, like, I don't know, 58 hours a week or something.
So how many
like
days
that
would that be?
Well, when you got that day off, you got at that time 3 days off in a row. Because they were working that.
Yeah.
Then, when we went to the 3-platoon system, you'd get 5 days off, and we called those Kelly days.
I know they still do, don't they?
Well, no.
No?
When we came back with this and we got our hours shortened again, they said, well, and I remember I was up in the room. Well, now we got Kelly days. Oh no, daily days. Mayor Daley gave us those. So that's what, and we fought that. We fought that, and many of us in our, send in your manpower report. Kelly days off. No, it'll come back, scratch out daily days off. Who the hell? He didn't give us nothing. Oh, man, the feeling was so hard against
this. Sounds like 1984. You're changing history like that, or
yeah, it was about that, and it was just the feelings of, and I'm sure it was the police and the other city workers too, unless you were on his list. Just despised them.
No shows.
No shows, yeah.
No
shows. There were a lot of no shows.
Didn't have enough.
I had a little story about a no show.
Didn't have enough desks down there in the City Hall. Did they? Was this Edward Kelly? What was his first name? That Kelly.
Oh.
What was his first name?
Yes.
Edward. You're right.
Edward. Yeah.
Now he was mayor World War II time, before and after, right in there.
I think he died right after the war. He succeeded Cermak.
Yeah.
After a while.
He did?
So he was the mayor through the 30s.
1934 then.
Yeah. Through,
Okay.
I would say, Kennelly came in around 46, 47.
Yeah, he only had one. Would he have one term? Or two? No,
I think it's one. Then he lost in the primary
to
when
Richard J.
Mr. J ran. Yeah.
The original, the real Mayor Daley.
The real, right.
King Richard the First.
Yeah.
I don't hear it. But, okay, so I remember the famous picture. Morris B. Sachs, folks, was a clothier. He had stores around town, clothes, men's clothes, women's clothes. He had 8 or 10 or 12, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he was also a philanthropist, all kinds of, he started out peddling door to door as a young guy, and he sold quite a bit in the Irish neighborhood, so he used to sponsor the St. Patrick's Day parade on television. I remember that.
Yeah.
And he had a Morris B. Sachs amateur hour here.
Right.
Remember that?
Very popular.
And I remember somebody from the neighborhood was on there. And they used to sing, I think, Sunny Side of the Street was real popular at the time. This would be in the late 50s, or early 50s, late 40s. And he did it on the radio, too, I believe, beforehand. Everybody on there got $25 on a gold wristwatch. I remember that. It was a pretty good prize.
Yeah.
And Bob Murphy was his co-host on there. I remember that. But anyway, Mr. Sachs was he was the city treasurer, and his salary was $1 a year. He was $1 a year man. And I remember there's a famous picture you'll still see published when Martin Kennelly lost the primary to Richard J. Daley, and Morris B. Sachs is weeping but hugging him, but he stayed on. He stayed on as treasurer when Kennelly was out.
Yeah.
So not a bad idea. We could use some of that today, couldn't we?
Oh, are you serious?
Yes, I am serious, by the way. Couldn't we use some of that? Or a lot of it?
You know what? And it just hit me that they were talking this morning about this again, the Oscars, and how they give all of these people a package or a ditty bag,
Yeah.
and it's worth $45,000. Now, wouldn't that be more useful giving it to
anybody?
Yeah.
The word sinful, does that come into play there?
Pretty much.
Oh my God! Yeah, those people really need that. Mm-hmm. They really need it. And then they said this little girl that was 9 years old. Mm-hmm. She, of course, got one too. Mm-hmm. And in the package are condoms.
Oh, gee, wonderful.
Oh, yes, I did hear something.
Yeah. I mean, come on, have some sense. Wouldn't it be really good media and a good PR to say, instead of this, we're giving so many millions of dollars to the retarded kids in...
Yeah, whatever. Just how many charities we got out there?
Yeah.
Now, when they were showing all those gifts that they were giving out, did you happen to see Terry's Toffee?
Yeah.
That's Jeanette Frontier's son.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He's on Grand Avenue here. What
That's
is it
right.
called?
Terry's Toffee.
Terry's Toffee.
And every time Jeanette comes here, she leaves me a bag of toffee upstairs on the...
Well, the next time she comes here, she better bring more than that.
Hey, you're holding out on us?
In fact, I think I still have one more piece left in my office yet. But that was Terry's Toffee.
That's my favorite toffee.
Yeah, but that's her. That's her son.
That's even better than
I
Butterbrick,
remember.
though.
Yeah, I remember her saying something about that. Yeah, now that you mention
And
it.
that's selected as one part of their package all the time, isn't it? Yeah. Well, that's good to know. Nonetheless, 45,000. Why should they get anything?
Yeah. It's chunk change to these people.
And this is their showcase of the year too. Anyway.
Yeah.
And, it was since we're getting on that story now. I wanted to talk a little bit about it. It was. Anyone see that last night? Any of it?
Yeah, I did. I watched it. It was all right until the very last thing when the
first
White
lady,
House came on. Yeah.
I thought that was a gag at first, to tell you the truth. So she has it. All of the secret envelopes were brought except that one there.
I wonder.
I
what Brown Nose figured that one out.
That was supposed to have been what's his name? Shoot.
Oh yes, they did mention Weinstein or something.
Yeah, from the Jewish guy.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so.
But I mean, it was supposedly he wanted to top because what's his name at the Golden Globes. Spielberg got Clinton to show up. Bill Clinton. They wanted to top him. So.
Yeah, and they don't like him. They don't like Spielberg, so they had to top him. Yeah.
Weird, weird stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as the show itself, now, I didn't particularly care for the MC, and his name is Seth
MacFarlane.
Yeah. But he's a talented guy, and he was very good as an MC. Like when to cut in and when to. And plus, he could sing and he could dance.
And you could understand him.
Yes.
A lot of those singers, a lot of those people anymore, I watch it close. You can't understand them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Good thing, too.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'd like to get the story of why, perhaps until about 2 months ago, Lincoln seemed to be the heavily favored movie. Everybody was saying Lincoln's a shoo-in. Things really turned in the last couple of
Well, you don't know.
months.
How could they predict anything, to tell you the truth? If it's on the level, how could they predict?
When Lincoln first came out, I guess everybody was sort of so well done.
Did you see it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, did you see
Very
it?
well
Anybody
done,
else?
yeah.
I thought it was great. The last
What,
3
the
months.
movie Lincoln? No,
Yeah.
I didn't.
No, I didn't see
No,
it.
I was like, I drove a Lincoln once. But they don't make those anymore, do they?
No.
Yeah, they do.
Do they? Lincoln?
Sure.
Anyway, it was like the last 3 months of the man's life, and it was they liked the artwork and the scenery, what the Congress looked like, and the White House, and they were beautifully done.
Well, I don't know that much about movies and all of this stuff.
I think
but
Daniel Day-Lewis really did a good job of capturing Lincoln,
Yeah.
his voice.
Posture.
Yeah.
And plus he was like the right.
And you look like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like the little.
And then the director
Yeah.
that won Best Director was this
Ang Lee.
Life of Pi.
and for this pie thing.
Ang Lee.
What the hell? All it was a boat and a kid and a tiger. How much is that to direct?
I haven't seen it, but
And won numerous awards.
I understand it is.
John Cass was funny this morning on the radio. He says, you want to get depressed. He says, one of the movies, Amore or something, was about
Amore.
a woman that
Dying.
had dying
Yeah.
and
Very
spitting
elderly.
up blood, and she had Alzheimer's. And another one was two a married couple that both had mental problems.
The silver
Talk about
lining or
going
something?
and talk about going to the movies and getting depressed.
Could see enough of that.
Yeah. That's not to say that a film couldn't be serious, but you have to be in the right mood. Like say Papillon, this guy's he's in Devil's Island and prison all the time. I mean, you have to be. It's long too, but but he gets out in the end. It's a true story.
I've seen Les Mis
Yeah, I saw it too.
in New York, Chicago, I bet you I've seen it a dozen times or more.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it. There's a
I had not seen it, but I know Hugh Jackman. They said he did an outstanding job.
they all did,
and
they were really
I can't
singing, too,
surprise
by the
that
way.
He had a chance of winning too, because all that weight he had to lose and the way he went through in music. Oh.
You could see he was singing. His veins on his forehead were popping out when he's moving. No, really.
the whole bunch of them, and I love. There's a song on there that just touches my heart. But I've seen it. I took the kids to it, and when it comes back here, I'll see it. But that, I mean, how can you beat something like that? I know.
It's been made many times as a film too.
Yeah,
Remember with Frederick March in
yeah.
1935 with Charles Lawton. It was just on recently. Well, 3 months ago. That's recent, isn't it? They had like 2 or 3 versions in a row on Turner Classic Movies, and I remember seeing that when I was probably I don't know, grade school or not even junior high yet. And I do remember a lot about it. And what a virtuoso performance, Frederick March.
Yeah.
You think this guy could act? Well, he could really act. I mean, he does a double part in one spot where this Jean Valjean was the main character. He's now living under an assumed name as a very successful businessman, and they think they've captured who he was, and he had escaped, of course, from the prison system in a galley. And they get somebody in some town they thought was him, and first he says to himself, "No, there's no Jean," and he can't. He hasn't got his conscience says he had to go and tell this wasn't him. Well, he was him on the stand, and you would think this was just a totally different guy. But I know it's probably been made a dozen times at least. Oh, here's an interesting story I heard. When Victor Hugo wrote this, he wasn't in Paris, but he sent a telegram to the publisher. How was it doing? To know how it was doing. So all he sent was a question mark, and they sent as a reply exclamation point. So how's that? You know, that's brevity for you.
Sometimes I think it's a problem of filming plays. Now, I think all of us remember that great '68 movie, The Producers. Mel Brooks with
Zero Mostel.
That's right, and Gene Wilder. A few nights ago, I saw the movie, which was basically a film of the play, The Producers.
New
It didn't
version.
hold a candle to it.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick. I mean, it was just too long, just
Nathan
too padded.
Lane.
Nothing can compare to the classic. Although there was a musical in that movie, Springtime for Hitler, but it was not really a musical.
Yeah.
The
No.
68 version.
It
I
was
think it was part of the problem with Les Miserables.
Dick Shawn played the Hitler part of
Oh
the
yeah, that was
stage.
classic. Yeah,
Springtime for Hitler.
Yeah. and they totally changed that in the newer version of The Producers. There was no Dick Shawn-like character in that
No?
movie at all.
No, they spoiled that one.
Yeah,
Right.
very much so. In that scene
I'm
especially.
anxious to see Les Mis to see how it compares to
I'll
the
see it.
live
Well,
show.
I didn't see the stage play, but it is. You will know it is definitely a film stage play, although it's more elaborate.
Well, yeah, you can see more, see more in it.
Yeah, actually, there's a new station out there. Ever heard of Cozy?
Yes.
5.2?
5.2, right.
Right. They've been putting the producers on almost all week.
Which producers?
The Nathan Lane and
that one?
Matthew Broderick.
Really? I only
Yeah.
saw it once. I think I saw it once there.
Yeah, it's
I hadn't seen it.
it's like 26.5. Sometimes they go and put that same.
Would you say
movie
it's a
on,
poor comparison to the '68 classic?
I don't believe I seen the 68.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
The idea is
Well,
great
Nathan
too.
Lane was funny. I mean, he was
Go out
funny.
and get a purpose flop and then collect on the insurance.
Yeah.
You know, the 2 other movies. Well, there were 9 movies that actually were nominated, but
That's part of the problem too. I think. Why make it 9 or 10
Yeah.
movies? Why not increase the?
I thought it was always 5.
Oh yeah,
It used to be 5
Yeah,
about
wasn't it?
what 3-4 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's easier to say who wasn't nominated that way.
Yeah, it's just kind of cheapening the value of the nominated movies, right?
And the next one, and the next one, and the next one.
yeah, it's like for instance this Argo one, okay, whatever it was.
Yeah,
About the Iranian hostage thing.
right.
And then Dark 030, I hear that's pretty violent, but it's about Bin Laden's capture, I guess.
That's right.
yeah,
That's
It's
right.
about the,
Right.
the heroic.
I haven't seen either one, but I mean,
You
they're
know
trying
what
to
was
throw it
on
out.
just before the Oscars last night was 60 Minutes, and the whole 60 Minutes was interview with one of the SEALs,
Oh, was that right?
In fact, it was the guy that wrote the book.
He wrote the book. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Assumed
it
name.
explains the whole thing, and it was very, very good.
Very good for 60
very
minutes,
I
especially.
caught that too, Bill.
Did you? Yeah, it was very good, Rich. Yeah.
Instead of the Oscar warm-up shows, stay with something more factual.
yeah.
And you know, too, there's so many versions about how this capture occurred, and you know who was involved and all that. They keep changing the story all the time.
Well, this
or
was,
did he have to be shot? Did he really have to be shot? They could have captured the man and made a real trial.
yeah.
I live with that.
Well, and you know what? And the guy said on that program that they brought the body back to the ship plus all of the DNA and blood and all of this stuff, you know, and goodies he called them.
To make sure.
And but then they buried him at sea. That's just suspicious to me.
But was he killed?
Yes.
Was he really gone?
That's
There's
it.
no proof,
That's it.
really.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, that's good for mystery writers in the future. Like Hitler's still alive and all that.
Yeah.
Boy, if he is, he's got a few years in him, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a few long teeth.
Yeah. But anyway, I thought the show itself, like the productions they did show, were very good. They had that review of like the Bond films.
Yes.
And they said Shirley Bassey come out to belt out that Goldfinger again over.
I was expecting to see Sean Connery and all of them.
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
was.
All the
They-
James
they
Bond
did-
is your,
Yeah.
So we got Sean Connery,
Oh, there's like 15.
George Lazenby,
Yeah, he had
Roger Moore.
One movie he lasted.
Timothy
first-
Dalton did a
The
few.
first one
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Elmo Lincoln. No, it was the first Tarzan. I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, here's a good question. I'm sure we haven't got a phone. The first actor to portray in a drama when they adapted to portray James Bond. Do you know who that was? This is really a tricky
I
one.
heard that the other day, and I don't remember what it was anymore.
It was on one of our. It was either Playhouse 90 or Westinghouse Studio 1, a live production of an adaptation of Casino Royale with James Bond of the CIA. They changed it, and it was Barry Nelson. Remember that actor Barry Nelson?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think he did something on television before the movie came out, or he might have been James Bond.
That was It was before that.
Oh, this
yeah.
was. Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was. I found it in a video. I got one from my son-in-law, who's a real Bond buff. You know. So.
Oh, that's one of the reasons I watched it last night. I
Yeah.
wanted to see that.
I thought that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And what's her name doing the Chicago the dance and
Oh, yes.
and that she is she's
Catherine
something
Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And that's a good. I like that play.
Mm-hmm.
The last good musical, I think, on
That's been done a
Yeah.
lot of times too.
Yeah.
It was done. I think it was done in.
I didn't realize Queen Latifah was quite as big as she was.
Oh, yeah.
Until she got out there and the others stood next door.
So the Queen is king size, huh?
Yeah.
No, she's good though. She's a talented person. Isn't she?
Yeah. Oh yeah. She
voice.
played a good part in that.
I always judge people by how they are on a talk show where they actually know they're not scripted and how they behave and
Yes.
like
Yeah.
that, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, like our show, we should have some people, I guess, like that here. But
Listen, the people are very lucky this is not TV.
yeah, you're right.
We've all got good radio faces.
Yes, or maybe they're not lucky. They're just. Anyway,
Let's get back to the mayors.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, we had Kelly, Kennelly, Daly, and after Daly was a kind of a lost.
Washington.
Well, we had.
Oh, don't forget Mr. Mumbles, Eugene Sawyer.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he would have been a good mayor here myself. I judged him
Yeah,
by.
they made fun of him.
The guys I saw on his team who were volunteering with him, who I knew from the job, were a decent lot, and it seemed like he wasn't too. He was like, too. Maybe because could have worked against him. Like he wasn't too much of a single. He's going to be a single solid authority. My way or the highway type. I think it would have been something for everybody with him.
I think so. Yeah. I agree.
His son is alderman now, out that way.
Is he?
No,
Yeah.
sure,
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw him at. Oh God! It's got to be 10 years ago. At a funeral, we buried a fireman who I didn't know until Sawyer showed up at the burial. It was a typical black burial in Rose Hill Cemetery. And they brought the casket in a cart, and they brought it in. They were all dressed in denims and like an old time black burial. And Sawyer was there, and I didn't recognize him. He had really slipped, and I think he was in financial and physical problems going on.
Yeah.
But everybody I talked to said that he was a good guy.
That's the impression I got. Of course, you don't know how. What's to say?
Whether you're either in or out with those guys, that depends on your dedication to them.
Yeah, they can ruin you in no time, right?
Yeah.
What about the guy who succeeded Richard J. was Michael Bolandic? He was a very bright guy.
Right. That's right.
He was a very, very bright guy. I think part of his problem was we had the big snow here.
Storm.
Yeah.
He thought he could get up and just act like Old Man Daly and get by with it when people were belly button deep in snow.
I think he was too intelligent for that job.
Yeah.
Good point.
And that's how Jane Byrne got in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
She had that one commercial with the snow falling on her. She's standing on the L platform. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
boy.
he was a justice of the Supreme Court.
And then Jane had the teachers strike.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
She had a CTA strike, was it?
I don't know about that.
There's a few things going on. Like
Oh,
that.
yeah. And then she had to deal with us. And I think she just like she threw her hands up,
She had all those strikes and no spares.
Yeah.
But and she was dealing with that evil cabal. I didn't know what a cabal was before.
Cabal.
Cabal. Yeah. What is a cabal anyway? In case I see one.
Well, it's a gang of thieves.
Oh, well. I should have known that. Yeah, cabal. And she came up with the word about that, and she told me she spent time fighting them. And then later on, we had Washington, and the same group was fighting him.
Yeah.
At least they were, according to the newsboys, it was. But they, then he was coming. Everything was coming around. It was going to work together, and then he died. Harold Washington.
Yeah.
How long
In
was
office.
he mayor?
Just when he got his majority in the city council.
But it also seemed like everybody else was like, "Hey, it's going to be good. This is all over with. You can get boom."
Yeah.
Remember, Radoliak was the big enemy. Then he later ran on his own. Yeah.
What do we have since?
And he was among those that found his niche behind bars too.
He had a radio show for a while.
That's right. That was
he had a good radio
He was pretty
show.
good on that.
Yeah,
He was.
I used to call him a lot.
Well, so was Blago.
Oh,
He
yeah.
tried for a while.
Well, yeah.
Sunday afternoon.
He'll be
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
He'll be back. He and Jesse Jr. can get a show together.
Oh dear.
It's no wonder we're considered the joke of the country.
Yeah, that's right. That's just like my daughter was talking about how many mayors, how many governors, and
We'll be right back
Okay.
to
If you
the
say so.
discussion following this short intermission.
How are the tires on your vehicle? Do you need motor oil, or transmission fluid, or power steering fluid, or antifreeze? What about the wiper blades? Are they in good sharp condition? Is the washer fluid in your tank fill? How good is your battery? Do you need to replace the light bulbs? Well, the place to pick up all these items is at Berkeley Auto Supply at 5237 St. Charles Road in Berkeley, Illinois. Stop in and see Tom, and he will get you any part or supply you might need for your vehicle. Tom at Berkeley Auto Supply has everything you need for your vehicle. Has every tool, parts, and supplies you might need from the front bumper to the rear bumper, from the top of your roof to the bottom of your chassis. You can call Tom at 708-544-8350, and they are located at 5237 St. Charles Road in Berkeley. Tom's hours are Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Sundays, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's Berkeley Auto Supply at 5237 St. Charles Road, just east of Wolf Road and west of Manheim Road, about 2 miles south side of the street. Call 708-544-8350 for parts, tools, and supplies. It's Berkeley Auto Supply, 708-544-8350. 544-8350.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
You tied them up and everything.
Well, anyway, we're talking about now people going to jail here, and there's two guys. They're walking into the line, the cafeteria line in prison for lunch one day, and one guy says to the other, "God, the service is terrible here. It's just worse. It's just getting worse all the time. It was much better when you were governor." So, so
That's good.
but we did have a few go to jail, didn't we? Recent and
Oh, yeah. Blago, Ryan,
Well, George Ryan.
Walker.
Kerner.
Ryan is no relative of mine, folks. Even if he is a Republican, he was a druggist too, wasn't he?
Yes, he was a druggist in
Kankakee, was it?
Kankakee.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
He looks like an old, like Mr. Gower or somebody, isn't he? Mr. Gower.
I got called the other day by a former. In fact, he's taking a pension now. A fireman that worked for me that went to jail, and he is out, and he was in jail with Ryan.
Is that right?
And Ted now is in the halfway house, where Ryan was supposed to go. They were expecting him over there on Ashland, the Salvation Army.
Right,
And
Ashland, where?
What is it, Jackson or
Over near. Yeah.
yeah. And
Didn't know.
I asked Ted. I said, "Well, you must have met a lot of politicians in there." "Oh yeah," he says. "Everybody ain't talking to."
A lot of ex-policemen. I wonder if they made.
Couple of firemen. Oh yeah.
Did they make Lago cut his hair, like a crew cut or something?
They
I don't
did
think
say,
so.
Huh?
I think they didn't do anything about that.
Well,
at least
they
when
weren't
he first
gonna-
came in. Maybe by now he is.
They weren't going to let him diet, I guess, or something
I think that's
like
right.
that.
Yeah,
He
the
didn't
guy
know-
was gone.
He didn't need no diet. I might need one, but he did.
I like to see him gray haired when he comes out.
Yeah. Well, he was a boxer when he was younger too, or something. They said. Used to-
Blago was?
Yeah. As a man.
I think he tried it.
He used to box oranges at the A&P.
Yeah.
Yo.
A&P, there's a name for you, folks. It's been around a while. But
What's it stand for?
the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company.
Right. Okay.
High-low.
But you always get the points made with these recent governors and such that have been incarcerated. I think Jackson's the outstanding example. How do they think they can get away with it indefinitely? Probably if they did it once or twice, they could have made it.
You know what it is, Rich? They see that their predecessors
They're bold.
got away with it.
But
they forget-
that's what happened to Ryan. Of
But
course.
they
Yeah.
forget,
They forget
that you have phones, cameras,
Yeah.
Now,
internet,
Yeah, especially more and more
checks,
so.
and
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
it's like, I know if I were in a position like that, and I don't think I ever would
The bottom
be.
line is greed, I think.
No doubt about
Oh,
it.
sure, it's greed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greed and plus being, they think you're a cut above or something.
I think they're above the
right.
law.
You know,
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned my one boss before, Bob Harness, and he said something about the job. He said, the game never changes, just the players. I mean, the guys that come along think he's a Sharpie and he's going to get some scam. It's been done before.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it is. But, lost my thought there. What little thought there was no loss. But, if I were in a position like that, in a position, political office, I think I would feel... I'd feel guilty if I bought a quarter pounder or something and put it on my account.
I think a lot of us would.
I
A
tell
lot
you
of us
what,
would.
Jack. When I was president of the union,
Mm-hmm.
anytime I had any type of position like that, or
Well, you
I
should
felt
be.
terrible.
Mhm.
We had when an administration changed, the racing board changed, and you have a new head of the racing board. And, of course, it goes from Democrat to Republican back and forth. Anyway, this one change, we had a no, he wasn't retired, neither one of them. We had a copper, a sergeant, and we had a captain of the fire department who were drivers, I guess, chauffeurs of the former state's attorney, who happened to be Polish, and they came to the racing.
Did he run for mayor too?
To the racing board, yes. And so I got the call. He said, "Well, you got a couple of new bosses." He says, "One's going to take the harness, and the other guy's going to take the flat track." Okay. They came, and they knew nothing about one end of the horse to the other.
We knew that, yes.
Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
And it was like getting a new candidate, trying to. But who am I to tell these guys what to do in that? So I got a call one day from Marge Everett, and she said, "Bill," she says, "I've known you for a long time. I think you better talk to so and so. He's going to get in trouble. In fact, he is in trouble." And she kept getting louder and louder. She had a room down there, and he had girls down there, and he got the betting bug. He just got the curse, and he was going right. Well, they finally, both of them left because they were really going to cause problems. And all of a sudden, and they had kept telling me to go to Kale's and different places to buy this and buy.
Kale.
Here I find out they're buying guns and holsters and leather goods and that, and putting them all on our bill. Now they leave. The new boss, who I loved like a father, he says, "You signed for these." I says, "I know, Tom. I signed for them." I said, "But I don't know where they are." And that they damn near went to jail for that. You know, they just stole all that they could before they left. And I thought, you know, that's nothing but greed, and they thought that they could get away with it.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't their mother teach them better manners?
Boy.
When you mentioned when we're talking about mayoralty and of the long chain, what was the last Republican we had? Big Bill Thompson?
Oh, yeah.
Would that have been the last in the 20s? Yeah. He was the one who was going to punch...
In the late the King George in
the nose, yeah.
Then his nickname was Kaiser Bill.
Yeah.
Because I guess in World War I he was doing a little pro-German sympathy action there. Yeah.
Now, in 1963, Richard Jay would have had, his running for his third term? He ran against Ben Adamowski, who had been the state's attorney, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he ran.
That's who I was talking about.
He got pretty doggone close to winning with no organization.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was a junior.
That was Daley's toughest race. You're right.
I remember that. It was like, wow, what happened here? You had the organization.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was better or worse or whatever, but it goes to show you, we think of it as being invincible, but maybe they learned a lot from that.
Of course, Adamowski could bring out the Polish vote very strongly.
Yeah.
So that was probably the bigger reason he got the bigger vote.
Yeah, well, it was next to Warsaw, way more Poles in Chicago than anywhere else in the world, isn't it?
And both these guys I was talking about were both Polish too. They were both drivers for Adamowski, and that was a big click, the Polish vote.
I happen to make a list here of all of the opponents that Daley won over during his term in office. Do any of you remember the gentleman who Daley defeated to become mayor?
In the primary, you mean?
The general election.
First time or?
The alderman.
Yeah, he gave him pretty close. Robert Merriam. Remember Robert Merriam?
Merriam.
Yeah. Okay. Then Tim Sheehan was his opponent in 59.
What was his position? What was he?
Oh, another government official. I can't. Attorney, something like that.
I remember the name.
Yeah. I think he's pretty prominent on the Northwest side. I think his base was up this way.
Right.
So we had Merriam, Sheehan, Adamowski, then it was, in 67, John Wayner.
Wayner, Polish?
Probably.
It was Polish.
A little short, yeah. Then Robert Friedman in 71.
Yeah, Friedman.
And
he was
Robert
Friedman? Was that his name?
Richard.
There you go, thank you.
Yeah.
He married to Jory Luloff, remember that?
That's right.
Remember there was a scandal broke in the Women's Wear Daily that they were living together before they were married. The Women's Wear Daily breaks a scandal like that. That was such an absurd. That you can't make that stuff up either.
Then Daley's last opponent in 75, just the year before he died, was John Holan.
Holan, yeah.
So a lot of these were relatively obscure people, other than Adamowski, maybe Sheehan and Merriam.
Especially
names you just don't know.
Holan was pretty well known.
Okay.
On the north side, yeah.
Okay.
He was the alderman up there.
Was he an alderman? Okay.
Yeah.
What ward was that?
You lose a bet and you've got to run for mayor against Daley. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Because it was, I remember the names, yeah. But then again, let's see. Someone told me Daley ran one time. Was this true as I remember? for sheriff as a Republican here?
Yes.
You did do that?
Around
Oh, yeah.
late
Before.
40s, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Some
he,
county position, yeah.
yeah, like that. Of course, it was like saying, does the term rhino mean anything like that? Republican name only?
Oh, yeah.
That would be a classic case, I think.
I think it was sheriff.
The big enemy of the Tea
for.
Party
Yeah.
types that would be.
Now,
behind it,
his license plate was the number of votes he got in his first. I remember
I
that.
think you're right.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
okay, we're running out of mayors.
Are there any more Dalys around? Well, one just got elected, didn't he? Wasn't there a Bill or a Pat that just got elected?
Well, Bill Daley is supposed to
He may run for. He may
Well,
run against,
yeah. No,
Quinn.
this was another Daley. Maybe he doesn't have that name. It may be an in-law.
Well, John is
John
county
One of the
commissioner.
county commissioners. from
John
there.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's a decent guy. I
He's
met him
across
a
the
few
road.
times. John is,
That's good.
he's a decent
That's
guy.
good. Yeah.
I talked to him several times when I was with WJJG.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah. And his we were having trouble. The fire unions around the country were having trouble with Democratic mayors, and the president of the International suggested, naturally it was an order, that we have a meeting with some of the Democratic bigwigs in Washington, and there was like, I don't know, 12 or 15 of us. The guy from Detroit, I know that they had that guy. In fact, he's still the mayor there, Mannion or something like that. Manoni, and they always have problems there, and not Detroit, Boston, and I had a stack of notes that I was going to give, and anyway, one of the guys that came in was Bill Daley, and we just laid down everything, and the chairman of the Democratic Committee, Terry McAuliffe, and we laid down all of our complaints and that, and Bill Daley came in, and well, he says, I know. He says, my brother can be a real blank once in a while, and I just said, well,
Okay.
yes, he can. And not a thing was done for any of us. Not a thing. All for show.
Bill Daley had like the skills that Richie could have used for his
Yes.
speaking ability, and I think he got a good head on his shoulders. And I'm not saying Richard M didn't, but what can I say? Some of the things they come up with. No, then once again, no one ever questioned on some of the things they'd say. I wonder what it was.
It's once in a while, they come out with this. I don't know what they call it. Collection of language that Old Man Daley and Young Man Daley have, and what they've used, and it really is funny,
The big one is, gentlemen, remember this: the policeman's not here to create disorder; he's here to preserve disorder, which of course must have been a slip on them, but we all do that.
Yeah.
That's a great one, though.
Yeah.
Or a Freudian slip.
I tell you what, when I was, bounced over to Engine 19, the lieutenant there would, they'd have to send somebody over to Engine 29.
Now, where would Engine 19 be?
At 34th and
Michigan?
Yeah.
That one, okay.
And so we would have to get a detail for an officer over to Engine 29,
Which is
35th and right next to 9th District.
Oh yeah.
And which is right across the street and just down
the block
from Daley's house. And I had an Irish setter that was with me all the time, and it was a Sunday, and we were there. The guys were going to eat about 10 o'clock. We're going to have a breakfast lunch type thing, and so we ate, and I told the engineer, I said, I'm going to take Blaze. The dog's name was Blaze. I said, I'm going to take Blaze for a walk. Pick me up if we got to run. Where you go? Oh, just around the block, and just to get out of here for a while. It was a dull day, and I walked down the street, and the squad was parked in front of the house, and the copper was there, and we're just making nice weather talk and that, and all of a sudden I took a look at his eyes, and they opened up, and I realized I took a look at the dog, and Blaze is crapping on Daly's the front lawn.
You didn't have any tissue with you either, did you?
I said no. I said, officer, have a nice day, and I took off.
Maybe your last.
And when I looked around, he's laughing. The squad is shaking so much he's laughing.
My uncle worked out of that what do you say, 29?
Yeah.
You know, I remember the first time I went to a Sox game.
What's his name, Jim?
Gene Ryan.
Gene. Okay.
Do you know Gene?
Yeah.
He came on the job with Bill Danaher, I know, at the same time.
And
Hoghead?
what was his name, too? Danaher and, I can't think of the other. Bill Aletto.
I don't know, but
Yeah,
I'm saying,
Billy Aletto.
I was talking, I was sitting at a table with Bill, and I said about my uncle, Jeannie Ryan? He said, yeah. Well, actually, his name was Bernard Eugene Ryan.
Oh, okay.
At his funeral, the pastor kept saying, Bernie this and Bernie that. My wife says, who's Bernie? My Uncle Gene. Of course, the chaplain said Gene, so you know.
Okay.
Died at 47. He had a heart problem when he was a kid, and he had this surgery he had to have. And he died on the table.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
12 kids. The son's a battalion chief now.
Yeah. Well, that's the one I know.
Ed.
Yeah.
Eddie, yeah.
Eddie.
But anyway, he had box seats. Who was in town? 1955 this was about. And, Washington Senators were in town. And they had a young third baseman. My dad said, look out, he's supposed to be pretty good. It was Harmon Killebrew. My first ball game. So
Wow.
Okay.
I remember warm Sunday, just you feel the sun on you, beautiful day.
Yeah.
My uncle was there, and
Yeah.
Another word Daly, Richard J. is supposed to have made up early in his term was insinuendos. I don't want to hear any more of your insinuendos. I think that's a classic expression.
that almost sounds like a bomb, doesn't it? Some kind of a firebomb?
Insinuations, innuendos, right.
Well, I like Richard M. Daly's sissy. I'm not a sissy.
Yeah.
Sissy. Who's a sissy?
Why would you have to say that?
I made a statement right after I got elected president of Local 2 that something about the media asked me something about the contract and what I expected the city to take away from us. I said something about it. I said, this administration is not going to rape us.
Oh.
And I used that. Well, I heard that Richie then said, rape? Oh, that's a terrible thing.
But that's used a lot.
And then the next time
yeah.
I said something about it. It was only like a week later they asked me about this and that. And I said, well, maybe I should have said castrate. They're not going to castrate this. Well, then he really had something to say. I wish I'd have taped some of that.
Didn't he say something at one point about not taking his pants off? There's something. Yeah, I forget what it was in conjunction with, but
Yeah, I don't
all
know
kinds of
that.
strange things.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He was,
yeah.
He improved as a speaker as he went along, which was still not saying
Yeah,
much.
because it kept his mouth shut.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's an example of it's better to keep your mouth shut and thought a fool.
Yes. Yeah, open it and prove it.
I know of a story I heard from it was my scout leader, his younger brother. They had gone to, I think it was St. Philip's in the West Side. And so a couple of years, he was a couple of years older than me, was someone in the class. So Richie was like, would have been, maybe before I was even in high school. Richie was like 4 years ahead of me in school. So the kid's last name was Daly. So for the prom, he booked the table for the 2 couples or 3 couples as Richard Daly Jr. So not there's no liquor involved or anything. Just, some of the couples come and they're dancing. So they order, and the owner comes over and says to him, I got to ask you a question. Are you the mayor's son? He says, oh, I'd rather not say,
Yeah.
So the owner picks up the whole tab and he tells him, make sure you tell your father. He says, okay, I will. So what do they say? You can't cheat an honest man, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the best stories. And somebody out there probably has heard it before. It's true. At least I believe it to be true. And that would be going back. Let's see, they said, he's not a junior. It's Richard M., But we didn't know that then. Imagine this guy said, he was in our restaurant years ago here. But that is really a sharp little piece of maneuvering. So what do we think? Do you think our guy Ram here, our mayor, Del Mayor, Do you think he's going to be a career mayor, or does he want his eyes on anything beyond that? Do you think maybe?
He swears up and down that he's not going to run for president. But
I don't believe
just like any politician or lawyer,
Yeah.
when they open their mouth, they're lying.
As soon as he denies that, means he's got a campaign committee going or something. I mean, there's also like governor, senator,
Yes.
that sort of thing. So.
Yeah.
Of course, he was kind of the power behind the throne before when he was. What was his quote for the never let a good
Oh boy, yeah.
you know what I'm going to say. Where you got a situation that's bad for you, a crisis. A crisis. Let a good crisis go to waste, yeah.
That's right.
I believe that.
Oh, he proves it.
Yeah.
He follows it right to the letter.
They seem like rather than clearing something up, they'd rather play on people's fears. Like, by the way, maybe Rich, what is sequestering and what does it have to do with politics?
I don't know how they came up with that word.
Yeah.
That word just doesn't seem to fit. When you sequester something, I think you kind of hide it.
Yeah.
You put it aside.
Is that like if a place there's a epidemic on and you're under quarantine, so you sequester the residents there?
Yeah.
You keep them.
Keep them aside. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't understand.
I don't understand how
how
they
that
came up with
fits
this
in
word
there.
either.
I mean, I think I'm a fairly well-educated guy. I understand a lot.
A word that nobody would know what the meaning is, so why worry about it?
Maybe that could be.
That's the
Whatever
only
it
time,
is.
that's the only time I've ever heard of it.
Doesn't sound nearly as bad as a fiscal cliff.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Cliff Fiscal.
You sequester the jury. That's the only time
Yeah.
I've ever
Yeah,
heard that.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, isolated.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't see it. It doesn't seem to fit it in at all with this current situation.
I don't know. Things get more peculiarsome. And then when it actually comes to time, he goes, "What will they have the?" All of a sudden, this is going to come. An airplane will fall out of the sky because of this, or the world's going to end, right?
Well, they're saying you might have closed a few airports or shut them down.
That'll-
From air controllers.
Yeah, but that will.
Well, and there's thousands of, or all the GIs coming back from Afghanistan. They won't have jobs, and it's fear.
They won't have a job
Selling
anyway.
fear.
Yeah, fear, exactly.
Yeah.
Or speaking of Orrin Samuelson earlier, he was on today saying that there'll be a lot of food inspectors laid off. So there might be a lot of problems with some of the safety of our food if they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
How about that? You had that badge for the brothel inspector. Will they be laid off too, or?
I got that. I have more fun with that.
That's real, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got that one too. EBay. How about chicken inspector? That was a
My
big job.
dream job, a brothel inspector.
But the chicken inspector too. That was a big job one time. There's somebody wrote a book called Chicken Inspector 23. Was supposed to have been.
Well, I tell you what, before I went in the fire department when I was in school, I wanted to be a veterinarian, so I was working for them, and
You really did?
oh
So
yeah,
did I.
oh yeah, and so I knew some of these guys, and I remember the one guy had his two college buddies. They went to Iowa State in Ames. That was one of the big vet schools at that time. And they both went in the Army as meat food inspectors, and that you had to have that DVM numbers after your name and that, and I always thought to myself, what the hell, are you going to study all of this dog medicine and then go in and look into a freezing refrigerator car and inspect that? No, that ain't for me.
Now, would a brothel inspector have to have those credentials too? Or?
Oh, I bet you they have to have some real
Esoteric.
numbers after their names.
Highly esoteric, huh?
And they have to be very careful and take all the time they need to give a very thorough inspection.
Need some samples here.
Sure.
A friend of mine, and Jack, you'd know who it is, told me yesterday at Mass that he was probably going to keep the same email address, but he's moving. And I said, "Oh yeah, where are you going to move, Bill?" He says, "Out to Huntley, out to that Del Webb." And the priest overheard us, and he said, "You know what?" He says, "I just heard the other day that it's loaded out there with STDs." And And Bill says, "What the hell is that?" He says, "Sexually transmitted diseases." I started laughing. I said, "That's all you need now, isn't it, Bill?" He says, "It's loaded with firemen and policemen out there."
I thought that was an additive for your engine or something. So we're getting wrapping up now.
No Orions there.
We took today and we got more or less to our subject. But a lot of things a lot to talk about in this little month once again. And okay. I don't want me to say that though. No. Well,
I missed the moment when all these past years, mayors of Chicago ran as Republicans or Democrats. Now they're no longer that; they're nonpartisan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's
very
much.
much.
I missed that episode.
They're very. What is this? They're nonpartisan. Glad to hear that. I guess
it sounds like they don't give a darn.
Well, that's our
really.
shortstop.
There we go.
They're trying to schmooze up everybody, both sides.
I don't believe it. That's why when you get somebody, it's unfortunate that they. And John's not here. John was in public office, but you get someone who goes there with the idea of going to the job, and he has to put up with everybody else. Well, it's just like coming on the police department. Half the people think you're a public thief. The other guys think you're a political appointee. So
yeah.
And there's a lot going on in Cicero now that John could talk about.
Well, is John in jail now for what he's done over there? Or is that why he's not here?
I don't know. I should talk to him. Well, we did pretty well. Did pretty well without you, John. But we're welcome back anytime. Oh, you mentioned, I wanted to say, you said veterinarian Jeanette Frontier, her father was a vet. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah, he was veterinarian.
Oh.
She was saying they came from Minnesota originally here. So
we have to do a show sometime on Jeanette's background. I mean, she could be worthy of a whole show.
Oh, she is.
She's her life.
Yeah. Jeanette, if you're listening, we mean it. Hurry back.
We miss you, Ken. We miss you.
As Ken Little said, she proves that we have not only brains but beauty, and some males too. So we're wrapping it up. Our next broadcast recording date. Get your tickets now, folks. Is scheduled for March 18th, the day after St. Patrick's Day. Of course, now St. Patrick's Day seems to last all March, all month. So we're talking about somebody. What do you think, guys? About I want to talk about Al Capone. So Al Capone, the outfit, that always gives us plenty of room. Everybody seems to enjoy talking about the gangsters and.
You know what? If it's all right with the bunch, I'll contact Donnie Herian.
Well, I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
You must be reading my mind. See,
yeah.
Great minds think alike, It's always good to get a guest.
But I don't have red hair.
I don't either. It's orange. It's getting like yours, though. See? Are we ready?
We want to thank Kevin of Jack FM 89.7, station WRHS Norwich, and Smooth FM 88.1, WRWX Harwood Heights, for broadcasting this program over the Ridgewood Radio Network. Listeners can access our recorded programs and a large number of other shows on the Internet at WindyCityHometown.com. Thank you for listening. This is your announcer, Rich Lang. Goodbye.
I almost forgot, Rich. Remember, history's much more than a book you keep on the shelf.
You have been listening to Meet the Chicago Historians from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Monday, February the 25th, year 2013. This broadcast was directed by John DeVita, edited by Stephen Lehman, and engineered by Tony Amato. This program was pre-recorded. Thanks for listening, everyone. Enjoy the day.